that's my biggest pet peeve.
Yours. Okay.
People who eat with their mouth open or just like
Uh-oh.
yeah,
That's gonna...
it's just
okay.
like makes mouth noises when they're eating. It's just like calm down. This is not your last meal.
Okay. Well, I hope we learn more about your pet peeves, because this video is going to be about Chris. How do you say your last name?
What do you think he said?
I always screw it up, so I wanted you to say
No,
it.
it's Sutphin.
Sutphin.
Yes, it's from my understanding and what I've been told, it's Dutch. It's from Zutphen. Means southern marshland, so basically south swamp.
Okay.
So my last name means South Swamp. And I've joked that yours is like, it's like probably means like lion or king or something. Mine means South Swamp. It's
South Swamp. That's cool that you know yours, though. That's
I guess, yeah.
I mean, probably originates from your family way back.
The Zutphen area of the Netherlands, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. My sister's been there. My sister Erin went there.
Dang.
Yeah.
To go like try and...
Yeah, well,
See what
her
it's
and her
like
husband
over there?
travel a lot, and so that was one of the stops they wanted to do. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm Chris Sutphin.
Awesome.
Everyone says Sufton or Stuffin. I
know
don't know
it's
why.
spelled
It's
in
weird.
a way that like
T,
makes you want to
the T and the F.
the T.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. We'll practice. You'll get it right one of these days.
hopefully, yeah. I got to meet your family though, and I gotta say they are awesome. They were
Well,
so
thank you.
welcoming. My first time ever. He invited me to his mom and dad's house. I just show up out of the blue, and they were so fun, so nice, super welcoming. I had a great time.
I told them to be mean, and they weren't. I was disappointed. No, they love
they're
you
way
too.
too nice. They probably could have been mean if they wanted to.
They had very nice things to say about y'all. It was
Nice.
it was fun.
That's so
You'll
cool.
have to fill me in on the second half of the night. I don't really remember a lot of it.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I got
Nursing
to...
my thumb injury too.
I know.
I've never seen a bruise on the top of a thumb before.
That looks bad.
Nasty bocce ball injury.
I could tell it was bad too because you were so out of it, but you were still like, "Oh my thumb."
Yeah, I was trying to numb the pain. It didn't work.
That
Yeah.
was intense.
Anyway.
But that was fun.
Yeah,
Got
it
to
was
meet your
blessed.
family. I invited, I think, your aunt and some of them to come and be on the podcast if they want to. So hopefully they'll reach out. One of your family members had a podcast. It sounded like.
Yeah, that my aunt. Yeah, a couple of us have, and me and Aaron are probably going to start one. We want to do one about old movies and whether they hold up or not.
Okay.
We're a very movie
Erin
centric.
was really fun to get to know. She was the one lighting off all the fireworks, right?
Yeah, Erin-
she was a hoot. She
Aaron's
was so
that
fun.
sibling. Anytime
Yeah.
I meet families that have 4 kids, I feel like I could be like, all right, I could tell you what each of your siblings are like based off the 4-child dynamic. And she's definitely that second child.
Nice.
Wants to get all the attention and gets it.
Okay, and are you the oldest then?
No, I'm the third. I'm the favorite. I'm the only boy. Yeah.
Oh, you're the only boy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you stand out for sure.
Well, it's 'cause I'm the
and I
favorite.
didn't make that correlation that
Yeah.
you were the only boy.
They like me the best. I was the only planned one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but those are, I don't know if that's safe for public consumption. But they know. I remind them all the time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, rub it into your siblings.
Uh-huh.
Okay, sweet. Well, last time we talked, we so far they're only going to see the one where you interviewed me,
Right.
and so this time I'm going to interrogate you a little bit more.
Okay.
And I was really fascinated learning about your LA life, so I'm hoping we can dive into that. Hear
Okay.
a little bit about Blockbuster and all of that.
Yeah.
But let's just start with the basics. How old are you?
I am 44, going on 13. I feel like a 13-year-old most of the time. I act like a 13-year-old most of the time. But yeah, I am in my mid 40s.
Okay. And
Yeah.
where are you from?
So originally I am from San Jose, California.
You're part Dutch.
Yeah, I'm everything though. I'm like we did a 23andMe, and I'm just when you're making something and you don't know what you're making, so you just grab a bunch of different spices and put them in. That's basically I am plain white chicken with 15 different spices from the cabinet mixed in.
Nice.
The Scottish in me is in my reddish beard.
Maybe
German,
that's why you
English.
look like so many people
Maybe.
know you or recognize you.
Maybe, yeah.
That's interesting.
But yeah, I'm from San Jose, born and raised, the original state capital of California. I think I mentioned that to you before, way back in the day. It after I graduated high school, I moved to Los Angeles to go to college, and lived there for 17 years. And then I moved to Sacramento, which is the current state capital, because my parents lived there, and as I and they were getting older, I wanted to move and live closer to them. Lived there for about 8 years, I think, and then just, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, moved up here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. That's sweet. So let's break it down just a little bit because I love California. Some of my siblings have recently moved to LA, California, and you've experienced a lot of it. You were born in California.
Yep.
You've lived most of your life in California,
Yeah,
but
basically
recently-
all my life except for 3 months so far.
that's
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you have a favorite city? Like, I mean, you got to experience the LA lifestyle.
Well, yeah. I mean, this one, I get half of it is in California. Lake Tahoe is probably my favorite city.
Okay.
The state
heard
line
good things about Tahoe.
runs right through. Have you never been?
I've never been to it.
Oh.
I've driven past it, like when going from Nevada to
Where we
California.
live is I reference it to my California friends as Lake Tahoe of the North. It's a lake city, you know. It's got that vibe, but it's kind of cool because the California Nevada state line runs through the middle of the lake, and so depending on if you're North Shore, South Shore, you're in a different state, which is nice for gambling purposes. But yeah, Tahoe I love. Being born and raised in California, I love California in theory. I love the weather, you know. It turned into something that I did not like anymore, and so I wanted to move.
Needed a change.
And NorCal and SoCal are so different, vibe-wise, that I'm happy that I got a good taste of both.
And you got to experience California to the fullest, whereas most people only picture like LA, maybe San Francisco, San Diego's huge. Every
those
time
are
I
the
think
big
of it,
ones.
I think of big city.
Yeah.
But you still give a lot of like smaller town vibes. I'm assuming some of those towns you lived in were not all of them are big cities like LA, right?
Well, and no one, I didn't, in my 17 years there, I don't think I knew anybody whose address was Los Angeles. You know, it's the dozens of smaller cities around it. I lived in the South Bay, kind of by LAX, so the beach cities,
Nice. Is
Playa
that
del
closer
Rey.
to the water? Or?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
when I lived in Playa del Rey, we would walk to the beach.
Wait, Del Rey, like the base.
Playa
area?
del Rey.
Del
Yeah,
Rey.
Beach of Kings, I think.
Oh, is that close to Marina Del Rey?
It is. It's right next to
okay.
Marina del Rey. That's where I went to college. Is right there.
The Airbnb I stayed at was on Marina Del Rey, like
Yeah.
right off the water.
Yeah. So spent a lot of time in Marina del Rey, and El Segundo, and Inglewood, Hawthorne areas. A lot of us who went to the college I went to, Loyola Marymount, whether in college or shortly thereafter, most people just kind of bled over into those surrounding cities and lived there. Plus, you're right next to the beach, so that's
Right.
nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone goes for.
Yeah, and you were mentioning I experienced all things California. I would have been 8 years old, I guess, during the big '89 earthquake, which was I think 8.9 magnitude, maybe. It was a big one. I was on the ketchup aisle of the grocery store, got covered in like tomato sauce and stuff, and when me and my dad got home, my mom was freaking out because she didn't think it was ketchup, and so
Yeah, that's scary.
But that was a fun you have to experience some earthquakes when you're in California.
Okay, so the earthquakes
that's
are
part of it.
common there. I didn't
Yeah,
even know that.
yeah. Oh, it's gonna break off and float into the sea, so they say.
Yeah, that's what
You
people
know?
say.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
But I'm from San Jose, and growing up in a town, you don't really experience it that much. If you're not the one driving around and exploring a lot of it, then you don't experience it. So I feel like I'm more. I have more of my California or experiences from my LA life because I was there for as long as I was in San Jose and did more in Los Angeles than I did in San Jose.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. And you were kind of in the more adventurous age of your life
Exactly.
when living in LA.
Yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
My 20s and early 30s, I was there. So that was college, and so definitely adventurous there.
Right.
I was in a fraternity during that time. Was president of the fraternity. Later was an advisor for the fraternity. And I worked a handful of jobs while there. And as you mentioned, one of which for 11 of those 17 years before it went under was this little company called Blockbuster Video.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That sounds fun.
it was awesome. I miss it. Yeah,
Dang. And you worked there for 11 years.
11
so
years.
you know all there is to know about movies, basically.
and then some. Yeah, yeah. I am what I would call a cinephile. I really love the art of film and movie. I think it's great escapism. I think it's great to find microcosms of lives that you don't experience. You get to sometimes do in a 2 hour snip when you watch a good movie. And like any art, music or physical art or poetry or anything like that, it's meant to evoke emotion. And so I feel like movies have always been that for me, where they will make you distract you from life or give you a some sort of fun or sad or contemplative journey for a small bit of time. And I love movies. I still to this day love the theater experience, love the home video experience. I started collecting physical media again and wanted to build my library up. Yeah, so I'm a Blockbuster boy at heart. Yeah.
Such a fun escape from reality. I think when I get a good movie that hits home with me, like it's unforgettable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so working at Blockbuster, did you experience any of those stereotypical, people kind of joke or talk about underage kids trying to get R-rated movies or things like that?
Sure. Yeah. Blockbuster didn't have that section with the saloon doors or the beads,
Right.
that you can see at some video stores. But yeah, we may have had those times. I don't really remember. I worked at the one in Playa del Rey, which is an awesome city and was very unique because it was one of those quiet, smaller beach towns that a lot of celebrities or athletes lived in. So over 11 years, I, at most once a week, sometimes further between visits, but some of those actors and celebrities that I knew as a kid were now renting movies from me, and I got to know.
To be their gatekeeper.
I got to be there, yeah, there, and I would,
cool.
yeah, and I was again, a decade at a place. I would just be out doing grocery shopping, and I would have people like kind of look at me like trying to figure me out, and I'd just be like Blockbuster, and they go, "Oh, that's it." I know you from because back then that was a staple of life. You would
Right. Especially in LA, it's like the version of fresh off the press, kind of. They're literally making the movies there, and then you're the one distributing them, right?
I remember like Tara Reid came in one time with one of the guys she was dating and his daughter, and she was like renting her movies for the daughter to see,
that's
and so you would get some people who would come in and try to try to ask how their movie is renting or things like that, but it was cool, recognizing people who didn't think they would be recognized too, like really like background actors who I'm like, oh, I just saw you in this movie we just got in, and you did really well in it, and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so if there was a movie that wasn't performing well, you would know firsthand, right?
Yeah, and I would,
And stuff.
yeah, and I would tell people that. The reason that they liked me as an employee is that I was not a good Blockbuster employee, but I was a good Blockbuster customer service representative. Like I very well could be at fault for putting them out of business for all the free rentals I gave and late fees I waived.
People out.
Yeah, I definitely, we got 10 free rentals a week, and I used all of those and watched movies even that if I didn't want to, that I knew people would ask about.
Okay. What
just
about
having
like
a
early
video.
access? How did that work with Blockbuster being one of the first
Yeah,
ones getting it?
so we would get our movies 1 to 2 weeks before they came out usually. So and that
that's cool.
because after they came out, we couldn't rent them for a while. So that was the time frame where we were allowed to watch them in order to kind of give something to recommend or not. And it was always tough because they never gave you enough copies of a movie, and so the new releases were like they were always checked out, and going to Blockbuster was an experience. It was like a scavenger hunt, Easter egg hunt, where when you went to go rent, it was like, oh, like I hope we can find this one, or they always come up and ask if anybody just returned it, things like that.
Was there a waiting list for certain movies?
No, sometimes people would say like, give me a call if you get it in or something like that, but typically not. It's first come first serve. But we would stash some for the customers we liked more, or ones we wanted to gain favor with.
Was it still the case though, where the movie would be created, and then obviously the theaters would get to show them first, and then was there any in between that before Blockbuster, or was it straight after?
It was before the internet when I worked there, for the most part. I mean, it wasn't before the internet, but it was it was before streaming. It was before YouTube and things like that. It was before Redbox. It was not before Netflix. Netflix came during my tenure at Blockbuster, and
Netflix is that old?
Yeah, and I remember being a manager there, getting emails from corporate about like kind of laughing at the idea of Netflix and like, don't worry, this won't be a thing. And then shortly thereafter, it was a thing, and then Blockbuster started doing their mail-in movie service to try to compete.
Netflix started off mailing people the movies, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Exactly. And then Blockbuster did it, and they tried to do their twist where you can bring your mail movie in and trade it for an in-store movie. So we tried to compete, and the ship had sailed at that point, and there wasn't really any keeping up.
So is Netflix the main cause of Blockbuster going out of business?
That and poorly managed price planning and late fees and things like that. Late fees is what really kind of pissed people off. But that's the nature of the business. If you need to keep inventory, and if people kept their movie, you couldn't make money on it, so you have to charge them for it.
Right, and I'm sure it's like the library, how like people misplace it, people forget about it.
Sure.
If there's not some consequence, they just collect them.
The problem is, like, when I first started there and VHS was still being rented, back in the day, to buy a VHS movie, the MSRP on that was $100 sometimes.
Whoa,
it wasn't
really?
And new releases that came out, they were, maybe one or two DVDs would be like $19.99, but a lot of them were in the 30s or whatever. So, somebody loses
to purchase and own it, right?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But the renting.
So to rent it was $4.65 after tax.
Okay.
It was $4.34, then it went to $4.65. And I just spent enough time there that I still remember that. I still remember my customer number. If you put me in front of a Blockbuster point of sale system, I'm sure I could ride it like a bike and just remember everything.
Dang, that's cool.
But yeah, the process of getting movies was interesting because there were deals with the studio where retailers like us were only allowed to rent and make money off a film's rental for a certain period of time and a certain quantity. So after, let's say, Spider-Man comes out, that's another interesting thing. Remind me, I'll go back to Spider-Man. But you have, let's say, 3 weeks to rent all 80 copies of the movie that they gave you.
Okay.
All right. And then after that, you had to field destroy a certain amount of them. You could not sell them. You could not give them away for free. We physically had to take the movies and break them and throw them away. It was sort of a agreement with the studios.
In demand or something,
or that you just couldn't. It couldn't lose the value. Yeah, I guess demand or the value of the movie would inevitably, by our standards, after it was out for a certain amount of time, it goes to off the new release shelf, and we charge less for it. And it may have been a studio write-off sort of thing, like for taxes. I don't know the ins and outs of that, as we were not privy to that. It was just policy.
But you personally experienced having to break the CDs so there wouldn't be...
Yeah, eventually for the DVDs, they gave us a machine that you would run through that would punch a bunch of holes in it. But back when it was VHS, it was take it out back with a hammer.
To just like slide it in your bag or something. Like
I don't know what you're
save it
talking
from
about,
getting
Eskel.
thrown away.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I would be so tempted.
Yeah,
like,
well,
that's such a waste. It would
Weaker
feel
people
so
than me
sad.
might be tempted to do such things, but I would never do
Right.
such things.
Oh, I'm sure.
No, never, not once. No. But I was going to say about Spider-Man, one of the interesting things is, I believe the movie was Collateral Damage. I think that was the movie that came out. And before every movie, you have previews, right? And there was a preview for the new first live-action Spider-Man movie that was coming out, the Tobey Maguire one.
Okay.
And it was just a teaser preview where he catches a criminal by making a web between the two towers, the New York towers, and then 9/11 happened. And so we had to turn in all the copies of that Collateral Damage movie and send it back to the studio because they had to take that trailer out because you couldn't do things
It was too,
showing.
like,
It was too
offensive.
soon. It was too soon. Yeah. So yeah, that was an interesting thing. I'm sure I doubt one even exists because they were very strict about getting all copies of that back. That if you were to find one of those in the wild now, it'd probably be worth a lot of money.
Wow. Interesting. Okay, so your store got access to some of them, and they would take it back if.
Yeah, that was across the board, all Blockbusters. There in LA, there are maybe, when I worked there, 12 or so different Blockbusters. Ours was the smallest one. We were very small, just tiny little beach city Blockbuster, not like one of the big ones. I worked at the other big ones too after ours closed down.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Wow, that's a lot to take in.
I can talk about Blockbuster for its own podcast. I mean,
Well, it's just so relevant to LA for some reason in my
Yeah.
head. I feel like that goes so hand in hand
Yeah.
with all the movies. And it's like you, to some degree, experience what I feel like most people are going to LA to experience, and that's really being integrated with the people there and with the hopes of it being with celebrities and extras from movies and
Yeah.
things like that. Being able to see that growing up in it.
They
like, that's the life
filmed
of it.
part of Iron Man 2 at the Dunkin' Donuts right next to our Blockbuster. They filmed the houses all around us. They would use it for TV show and movie filming, and so that was cool to be part of that too. Westchester Parkway, which was half a mile up the road from us, I still watch car commercials and movies. And I'm like, oh, that was filmed there. It was just a straightaway right next to LAX that was perfect for filming driving scenes. And so they were filming around us a lot as well. So the actors who were customers of mine.
Was there ever that type of a moment? I know so many people in LA are like dreaming of them working at a store, being at a store, and they're filming that place while you're there, and like you're tempted to like want to run in front of the camera.
Oh, I'm sure there were. Yeah. We had a paycheck there, and we couldn't run out of work and go do that. But there weren't nothing I can remember where they were shooting that close to where we were. But that's what PAs are for. They got to set the perimeter for filming, and they block traffic, and police departments work for film shoots to block off areas and stuff too. So it's expensive to make a movie. You can't have random people walking through or anything like that
Right.
usually.
Oh yeah. The extent
But
that
I
they
also
go to
went to
is-
a college that had a great film department, and a lot of my friends were film majors, and so they were making their student films around there too, and I would help them with that in a lot of aspects. We had a lot of would-be celebrities, actors who went to my college because of that as well. So I definitely feel like I got the LA experience as far as Hollywood goes, living there,
Okay. And so
either randomly or by purposeful, like trying to experience it.
Right, yeah, when you're there for that long, I feel like you're going to have a lot of cool experiences. Because some people, like the stories that I hear, there's all sorts of them, but like the most common is people go there with a dream and they have all these hopes and everything's going to work out for them. And then they go there and it doesn't go so well and it's so expensive that they run out of money. A lot of people end up either having to go back home or they just have to live dirt poor out there, you know?
Yeah,
It's
the
hard.
joke I've told you before is when people move to LA, they say, I'm moving here to be an actor. The joke is, what restaurant are you waiting tables at? Yeah. Because it's so hard to make it in any big industry like that.
Oh,
Professional
yeah.
sports,
Especially when
music,
people are
movies.
literally selling their entire life savings to go out
And
there.
it's not cheap
and
to
you're
live
gonna be
there.
shoulder to shoulder with all these people with
Yeah.
the same dream, the same goals. Like, it's competitive. It's gotta be tough.
Yeah.
Wild. So when did it all go to shit? Did you feel like California fell off the bandwagon, or did it just get? Is it just for the younger generation? You feel like, or is it?
No, like
what's
why?
your thought?
Why do I not like California? Or what did LA or like what aspect of it?
Yeah, your
LA is.
personal opinion, and then what you think the general view of California is.
Oof, I'll be careful after how I talk about some of that. LA is a city that has to be cool, has to be hip, has to be now. It has to create this vibe of it's the hub of the entertainment industry for not just for California or the United States, but for the world, right? So it
Right.
has to.
Oh, yeah.
It has to be the same.
And
So it's a
because
little
so many
fake in that
people,
way.
They don't live there. They just kind of see it in movies, so they kind of depict their own image
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
place. You know?
yeah. And I knew very few people from LA. You know,
Right.
everyone's a transplant. They all move there. And the whole 15 minutes of fame thing is very true too. I experienced some of it with opportunities I got, but I know a lot of people who got that break, and that was their dream, and it was very short lived, and they did nothing else after that. There isn't anything you can do perfectly to be successful. There is a lot of variance and luck involved, a lot of who you know and not what you know.
Oh yeah.
And so LA is when you're younger and you don't have to be there for your career. It's fun, you know, the bars, the beach, all
And
the
because
people.
the stress is so low, because you're already there. It's not like you're moving, you're picking up, changing your whole life. I feel like that would make it so much less stressful.
Yeah, I mean, it comes with enough stress. I mean, you could go 10 miles and it'll take you 45 minutes. You know, when I worked at Apple, I lived, I think, 8 or 9 miles away, and it would take me almost 40 minutes to get to work every day just because the amount of people who live there and the
Did
traffic.
that ever make you want to do what a lot of people say of like getting an e-bike or
Ew,
like skateboarding
no.
to work
Ugh.
or something?
Oh, I couldn't even do it. I'm talking going from Inglewood to Santa Monica, where the back roads to do that. It's not like New York, where it's like a grid system and everything's
hop
kind
on a bus.
it's spread out, and there's more freeways than there are people. It seems like there's public transportation is very slow. I knew people who did it, but it's just if you wanted to be efficient to get to where you're going, you had to have a car, and especially because LA is so spread out that I always tried to work close to where I lived. But you know, most people live in the valley because it's a little cheaper and away from the craziness of the city. If you lived in the South Bay, the beach cities, that's not near Culver, Studio City, where you have to go for the industry stuff.
Is that where the fires were?
In the
South
valley,
Bay?
there's always
No, that big one that was
like recently.
Yeah,
you
just
kind of. That wouldn't be considered the South Bay.
it
That
was
was
right
more in
on
the hills.
coast, kind of, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
like Palos Verdes and
Malibu and all
yeah,
that.
Malibu. There's
yeah.
fires down there all the time though. Now.
That one was intense. I've just seen so many because my sister Amanda, she hosted a huge event at a Malibu Airbnb.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not even there anymore.
So that's-
they were just there.
That's a
It
good
was
segue
crazy.
into what happened with California. Part of the heartbreaking thing that's going to happen from that is a lot of people say like, oh, all those rich people lost their house and they can afford to rebuild. Whether you can afford it or not, and a lot of people who can't afford it lost their homes. Whether you can afford it or not, all the red tape and government influence in California, LA areas specifically, is such that none of those people are going to be able to. They're not going to be able to even get the right or the go through all the steps they
rebuild
need
or
to
what?
start rebuilding. Yeah,
Because there's so much regulation in California.
so much
huh?
regulation and the taxes there. You hear of athletes who play on the 49ers or Lakers or other teams that don't live in California. They have like a house there during the season, but why a lot of celebrities and personalities moved out of there. The taxes are so
high.
incredibly high, and you're paying for, again, the best weather in the country, arguably, and so it kind of makes sense, I guess. But
So is that why it kind of seems like the incentive is for young people to be there while they're up and coming and they don't necessarily have a lot of money, but then once you're rich and already made it, there's not as much incentive to be there?
maybe, yeah, if you don't have a family, it's easier to live in a place with 4 roommates. It's
Right,
easier
yeah.
to live in your car and get a Planet Fitness membership to shower and then go to work, whatever. But once you have a family or are later in life, that isn't as easier. It doesn't fly as well. So, a lot of the beach cities of LA or any Southern California does have that kind of beach vibe. Like
Right.
we, just kind of go with the flow sort of vibe. But if you want to, a lot of my friends who still live down there and started families and got bigger and higher paying jobs, got awesome houses outside the city, where they didn't need, and the commute's a lot longer, but that was the only option to get a good, nice house. They had to leave the beach and go up in the hills, to get someplace where they could raise their family. And so it is a younger town for sure. And there's a lot of old, generations that live there. But it is crazy. I've never been to New York and I've never been to some of the other like huge cities in the country where I don't know what the surrounding suburbs are like. But LA is just so spread out that I think a lot of people who say they're from LA or live in LA might live 100 miles from LA. Like they might,
wow.
it's just you're kind of part. You live in that huge bubble.
And that could just be because most people, if you say LA, they'll know what you're talking about.
Sure.
But if you say one of the smaller towns, they won't recognize or
For the most
understand,
part, yeah. No, yeah, you're right. But yeah, I honestly don't think I had any friends whose address was
Actually,
90045 like in Los Angeles.
Okay. What is the zip for it? Is that the one?
90045, yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Thanks.
Yep. 310. Still got my 310 area code though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So kept that.
So people will always know. Have you gotten any hate moving to Idaho,
I
California?
try not to talk about it. I got my license plates and my driver's license switched as
over.
quick as
Oh,
I
that's
could.
quick. Oh my goodness.
I got
I
quick.
still have Utah plates.
That's okay. They don't-
I gotta switch.
You're not gonna get rocks thrown
I've
through your
been here
window
for
for
like
Utah
over
plates.
a year though. I gotta get the switch.
In fact, I got a personalized license plate here. When I was in California, I got my car registration renewal. It was going to cost $675 to renew my car registration.
Wow.
I got personalized license plates here, and it was like $70. I mean, why would
more
you
like
not?
it.
Why would you not move for that? And my personalized license plate to show I'm a cinephile is my favorite movie as my license plate because I had to get something to pay tribute to my love of movies.
Okay.
And so that
That's
was
cool.
it.
You couldn't just get like a Blockbuster license plate or
I
something?
probably could have actually now that I think about it.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, there's things I don't like about Blockbuster though. Like I didn't like them as a company. I just liked being the Blockbuster guy. I liked being.
You turned it into your own thing and made it enjoyable.
Yeah,
the corporation itself. has
Every
a lot of-
job I've had after that, when I worked at Apple, that was arguably my second favorite, maybe tied for first favorite job. I met way more celebrities at Apple and interacted with them, and like I led workshops training, Dennis Quaid how to use his phone, or would sell.
So cool.
I have a list in my phone of every that I could remember every celebrity I met or interacted with at Apple, and I worked at Blockbuster for 11 years. I worked at Apple for 2.5 years, and met 20 times
Interesting.
more
So what
celebrities
you're
there.
saying to my brother in LA,
Get a
you
job
want to
at
meet
Apple?
celebrities, get a job at Apple.
It's very hard to get hired at Apple, but yes,
Okay.
that's a great company to work for too. They also helped me pay off my student loans because of their 401k and stock matching, and yeah, they're maybe they're not anymore. I don't know, but they were a great company to work for. They taught me how to be a good customer service representative, which bled over into all aspects of my life. I just like the human experience. I'm not a sit in a cubicle at a desk 9 to 5 kind of guy. I like interacting with people face to face on a daily basis, and a lot of that stemmed from my time at Blockbuster. It's not just about the product that you're selling; it is about helping somebody find a solution to something.
Oh yeah. I can definitely tell you're very a people person. Like the perfect ideal job for you is to have that interaction, being able to be around people,
Yeah,
and make it a good time.
yeah, it is. It is.
Right? What's the craziest or most interesting celebrity interaction that you had?
The most like out of nowhere and biggest name one, I've told you this before, is I randomly was playing golf with my roommate at a 9-hole public course, not a very nice course at all. I think Harbor was the name of the course. And Morgan Freeman and his son were playing in the group in front of us. And after about half the round, the pace of play in golf is such that sometimes on public courses it sort of bottlenecks, and you end up having a couple different groups wait for the next groups to finish. So you'll team up just to speed up the pace of play. So we got to play golf with Morgan Freeman for
So
4 or 5 holes. What's crazy about that is that in the early 2000s, he got in a car crash and his hand got really messed up. And so he just golfs with one hand. He was like, I don't know, late 70s, early 80s. Maybe younger than that when we played with him, but was drive, putting, chipping, all with one hand. And better than me. Yeah, he was. So that was crazy. But like, we've talked about this before too. So I don't know if the episode we talked about it will get out there, but I was a comedy writer in LA for a short stint, based
I
off
can
of
see that.
one
for
of
sure.
my.
I feel like you do great as a comedian.
I didn't do that great. I appreciate that. Thank you. I didn't do that great. I'm here right
Maybe
now.
you wrote-
I'm here talking to you, so I didn't do that great.
You ended up in Idaho.
I got
so-
to pitch screenplays that me and my buddy wrote on the Sony lot to producers. We got to write and have filmed a pilot for Comedy Central, and I worked for Troy Miller, who's the creator of my favorite television comedy show of all time, and that is just random happenstance that worked out. All because one of my customers was a stand-up comedian who wanted situational material written for him, and me and my buddy were doing that for fun on the side anyway, and so we got to work for him. So that was the biggest, like, I have framed my first paycheck as a comedy writer. I can say that I was a comedy writer in Los Angeles, and talk about 15 minutes. I probably had 12 minutes of it, not even. But yeah, that was. But you'd run into people just walking down the street in Santa Monica, or I'd be stopped at a traffic light, and Kevin Smith is in the car next to me, and you kind of become numb to it after a while. I think when I first moved there, I remember orientation weekend for college. I was at In-N-Out, just getting food with my buddy, and Cuba Gooding Jr. was in line in front of us, and I got his autograph. And then after a while, if I saw Cuba Gooding Jr. in line in front of me someplace, I wouldn't even break conversation I was having with somebody. I wouldn't really care.
It's got to become normalized at some
does.
point, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it also depends on how much you idolize the certain celebrities
Sure.
and whatnot.
And I'm arguably, I was the biggest fanboy of any circle of friends I was in down there. There was only once or twice I would not go and be like, hey, I'm a big fan. I wouldn't try to always get pictures or autographs. I would just want to be like, I love your work. Thank you for everything you've done. And only once or twice did I not do that. But most of the time I'd be like, hey, I recognize you. I got you. Keep up the good work.
I would imagine, living there, the locals or like people that you've described have become so used to it. To them, it probably is kind of lame to stop traffic or to go out of your way and like make a big scene, right?
It's lame in that, you hear stories about people are out to dinner with their family, or they're at Disneyland with their kids, and they want to just be normal people. Then they don't want to be bugged or bombarded by people wanting autographs or photos or anything. So
right.
I get that, but also, listen, you wanted to be famous. You are enjoying the perks of your fame. Take a picture with me.
It's so hard to have sympathy for someone who feels like they have it all. You know, from an outside perspective, you see them with the money, the nice cars, the beautiful homes, amazing lifestyle, and it's like you're complaining people want to come and see you.
Right.
That's so hard.
I really respect the ones who are like, you hear of those stories from like like people who became famous for a niche character, like Carlton from from Fresh Prince of Bel Air, who to this day, anytime that Tom Jones song plays, he has to do his silly little dance. And people like that, I respect so much. Who like, they're like, is it annoying? No, I'm so that gave me my life. Like, I'm so grateful. I probably met my wife because of that fame and how I met her.
That's
things like that.
cool.
Whereas other people are like, who are just like annoyed by the attention. It's like, you're an actor. What? That you're starved for it. That's what you do. That's you want people to pay attention to you. So to want to turn that off. Well, I get privacy is important. It's also kind of
And
like,
it's totally different when it intervenes with, like, I see a lot of Taylor Swift stuff about how she actually has to, like, fear for her life.
yeah, that's a whole other
people
level
go
of fame.
Insane.
Yeah, that's a level of fame none of us could ever wrap our heads around. What a day-to-day
And
life
that's
like
why
that.
I try not to be too judgmental, because I don't know what it's like to be famous. I can't even comprehend how crazy to some extent, some of it probably can get to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my whole thought on it is that I would just hope that it would be more appreciated, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
But,
And the other thing I'll say about LA, because the comedy thing was more my circle for when I was really sinking my teeth into it, is that I have friends who are now touring and successful comics, but to get stage time to practice your sets was so difficult that they would start doing house shows where they would find a friend who had a big enough living room. They would rent 50 folding chairs, and they would stock the fridge with beer and tell people for free, come to a free comedy show at this house, and they would just do sets for free in front of people that friends and friends of friends in order just to get their time in. And I saw you may not know who Ali Wong is, but like I saw her and other stand-up comedians before, and I saw Kevin Hart do stand-up comedy at my college when he was nobody, and then a couple months later I'm renting Soul Plane, the Snoop Dogg movie, and I'm watching. I'm like, oh, that's that dude I saw do stand-up comedy, Kevin Hart. That's cool that he like got a film in a movie, and now he is Taylor Swift level fame. You know, and so it is cool. I try to remember, like, oh man, I wonder who I saw before they were famous,
Right.
and I'm grateful and like kind of psyched that of the ones I do remember who were like, oh, I saw them when they were coming up. Joe Coy, the comedian I wrote for, he was living in a small apartment with a roommate in Playa del Rey and renting videos from me, and now he is in the top 10 most successful touring comics in the world right now. Like to see that growth is equally awesome, and also is sort of bittersweet. It's kind of like,
Right.
damn it, I should have grasped those coattails a little tighter when I could have, but you know.
Interesting. That is so wild. Yeah, I can't even imagine what that would feel like.
A good friend of mine is she's in the new Superman movie that's coming out this next week. She's a very small rolled actress but I see her once a year in things. I have one of my best friends, Kevin. He's
Kevin Bacon?
it is Kevin Bacon. Yeah, have you heard of him? You know Kevin Bacon? You know Kev?
Have you ever done the Kevin Bacon test?
Have I ever done the
Closely related you are to that?
You mean 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon?
6 degrees. Is
Yeah,
that what it is?
that's
for
what it's
most
called.
people?
Can I tell you something?
What?
You, my friend, are 3 degrees from Kevin Bacon.
How do you know?
Because I went to Comic-Con. I also went to Comic-Con a lot because I'm a dork.
Okay.
And I went to one panel one year, and it was for his show, The Following, right? And in these panels, they're in these huge auditoriums.
The Following is crazy.
Did you watch that show?
I watch so much because it's so down my alley. It's all
Yeah.
about like this cult related.
Yeah, oh yeah. I never watched it. Never watched the show.
It is crazy.
But so in these panels, fans are allowed to ask questions at the end usually, and somebody went up and said, "Kevin, can I be 1 degree away from you, please?" Because the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon is Kevin Bacon was in this movie with this person, or is married to Keira Sedgwick, and Keira Sedgwick was in this thing, and so it's connected to Kevin Bacon. And so Kevin Bacon said, "I'll tell you what, I'm going to do this for everyone here. I'm going to say, hi, my name is Kevin. And then everyone replies, hi, my name is, and your name. And he said, all right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Hi, I'm Kevin. And everyone would be like, hi, I'm Chris. And he'd be like, you guys are all 1 degree away from me right now. So
That's
he
what it
knighted
is?
us 1 degree away from him. So you, my friend,
Oh, I
I'm
thought
2
it was,
degrees
like,
away from Kevin Bacon.
related to Kevin Bacon.
I might
for
be
some
too. I
reason.
don't know. I have a crazy family.
But so the degree is like how closely you've met or talked with someone in person. to
the
Kevin Bacon or
game,
something?
the game 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon is what movies or shows he's done with another actor, and
that
then
you know or something.
no, well, the game is trying to connect Jackie Chan to Kevin Bacon, and you're like, all right, well, Jackie Chan was in Shanghai Nights with Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson was in. I don't know. I can't do it right now, but was in this movie with this person. This person was
I
in
see.
A Few Good Men with Kevin Bacon. Write in the comments the gap that I missed in that, or write in the comments an actor, and I will get closer in degrees to Kevin Bacon than anyone else in the comments. I bet.
Ooh,
So you asked me, have I played that game? I play that game all the time.
nice. Okay. Do you have a favorite actor
Yes.
of all time?
Steve Buscemi.
Who's that?
I know you were going to say that, and I hate you so much for
Steve
saying
Buscemi.
Buscemi.
gotta educate
You
us.
might know him, you might not. He's in my favorite movie of all time. What my license plate is, Reservoir Dogs. And also, on that note, shout out, rest in peace, Michael Madsen from Reservoir Dogs just died a couple days ago.
Aw.
Yeah. Not a good guy from what I hear, but you know, that's all right. Steve Buscemi
But
is
the movie I gotta watch is Res for Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir.
Reservoir.
Dogs.
Yeah. Quentin Tarantino movie. It was his first movie. But Steve Buscemi is in a lot of Adam Sandler movies. He's in a lot of Quentin Tarantino movies. He's a funny looking fellow, as he is described in the movie Fargo.
Does
But
he wear glasses?
not typically.
Who's the? Because I've seen a lot of Adam Sandler movies. Who is he in
He
that?
name an Adam Sandler movie.
Like the first one I thought of is like the grown up one.
Grown Ups?
Yeah.
I don't know those ones as well. In I shouldn't have asked you to name a movie. In Mr. Deeds, he's like Big Daddy, he's the homeless guy.
Daddy. Oh,
You know, like the crazy
the
eyes.
homeless guy.
Yeah, and Billy
Okay.
Madison, he's the friend with the sniper rifle. But he's an awesome actor. He a former New York firefighter, helped out after 9/11 in New York, like put acting aside. He's the do you watch the show Wednesday, the Addams Family?
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be the principal in the next season.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just my favorite actor. That movie and his character in it were just like that movie I saw when I was 16, and it like broke my brain that a movie could be told in that way.
Is he the dad? Okay, maybe.
On the Adventures of Pete and Pete Nickelodeon show, yes, he
No.
is. Oh,
Oh, I don't know that.
I know.
But you know the movie where they hide in a bunker and they think that the world was destroyed and they come out. Remember the dad in that movie?
wait,
Not the same
are you talking
guy.
about Cloverfield Lane? Oh no, you're talking about Blast from the Past.
Yeah,
that's
that
Christopher Walken.
Okay.
He is
that's not
also
the guy.
in Pulp Fiction.
Okay. That's who I was picturing. but
Yeah,
that's
no,
not
that's
the guy.
Christopher
Okay.
Walken. I can't do a Christopher. Everyone can do a Christopher Walken impression except for me.
He's pretty famous.
Christopher Walken's awesome. Former like professional dancer. A lot of people don't know that. If you watch the Daft Punk music
I
video,
gotta
he's
look
in,
up this guy then, because I keep picturing this Christopher guy. But
you'll know him by his eyes.
yeah, what's his name?
Steve
Steve.
Buscemi. 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 I think I spelled that right.
Wait, what? That's not the guy. That's who I was picturing. That's not the guy from the bunker movie.
With Brendan
of the
Fraser, where he like grows up in the bunker, then he
Yeah.
comes up and he's
And his dad isn't this guy.
no, his dad's Christopher Walken.
Oh, okay.
Two different
Yeah.
guys.
His
They've-
eyes.
they've
are
done
super
movies together.
recognizable.
Yeah,
I wonder if they look. Do they at least look similar then? Is
they're
that
both
why I'm
white
thinking?
men. Sure.
Steve
So,
Buscemi, and then what's the other guy's name? then?
Christopher Walken.
Christopher. Okay.
What did you know Christopher
compare
Walken
these
from?
two
Did you ever see Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Catch Me If You Can. Yeah, oh,
He's the dad in that.
That is such a good
That's
movie.
a great movie. That's a great movie.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's the dad in
I
that
love
as
it.
well. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
Listen, if you ever
Yeah,
want
he's
to borrow
pretty
any of these movies, just come to your local Blockbuster guy.
Yeah,
I
okay.
got them all for you.
Sweet. Nice. Yeah, I got to become more informed for sure. I keep telling myself to find like the top movies of all the previous years that I've never like stayed up to
Yeah.
date on stuff. And
Well,
just
that's why I
watch
want to
them.
do a movie
You know?
podcast, because I love talking about movies and I love
Mm-hmm.
hearing other people's opinions of them.
And you would be so good. I couldn't do that though because I'd be like, what movie we're talking about this week? I gotta hurry and do it 2 hours worth of homework real fast.
2 hours of homework in a week is not a lot of homework.
That's true, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
if it was once. a week.
And you do it every couple weeks.
You could do it so naturally. You would already know all the information, and
you.
that would be it.
You're not wrong. You know, you're not wrong. But yeah.
Think about it. You buy an old Blockbuster that's already out of business. You rig it up into this cool studio, and you bring it back to life. But you also host your podcast in the Blockbuster.
Sounds like somebody's been reading my dream journal.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, I would love to work or own a video store, and there's a couple in town here that maybe if they go under, I can.
Yeah, this
I got the
town's
inventory
got a lot
already.
of older retired people,
Yeah,
so
I
they
still
love that.
I can't believe there's more video rental stores in this town than there are movie theaters in this town.
And the movie theaters look like they're going out of business.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
like
the one
going
is
down.
a joke. Yeah. Yeah, I would love that. I still have a lot of my Blockbuster stuff too. A lot of the old
Nice.
Blockbuster uniforms and some of the because I closed down a lot of the stores. I was the Grim Reaper who had to go around and show people how to
down.
put their stores out of business because mine was the first, and they're like, you know how it's done. Go close this one down now.
Wow,
Yeah.
tough. Sad times.
What else you want to know about me? That's
your
really
life
it.
is
I haven't
fascinating.
done anything since then.
Well,
since the age of 28.
now though, because like the whole focus of this podcast is
Wow,
we
at
need
the same
to
time,
extract
while we're here.
while we're here. Yeah.
yeah.
And it's all about so that's. I'm honestly second guessing the name a teeny bit, but that's besides the point. Because
The name of this
whole-
podcast may or may not have been or used to be while we're here. We're workshopping it.
I still like the style and
Yeah.
the wording, and I love being able to say WWH. But the whole reason why I started this podcast is because I wanted to emphasize with a goal of extracting knowledge out of people. And you have a lot of knowledge about LA, about celebrities, about the whole California experience. And so I want to know, based off of your 40 years of living, did you find places better to live in than California? And what parts of California are the best of all time? And why?
To live?
Yeah.
None.
And live like if people. Oh, really? So
If
it's
you
nothing
do
in
you like
California.
your money, then not California. But
we just talked about if you're an up and coming and you don't got a lot of money, then it's perfect for you.
yeah, it broke my heart to leave California. Like, not just the physical, California as a place, but like the people there.
Right.
My family and best friends, and I've had to do that a couple of times when I've had some very close friends of mine pass away very young, and that was one of the reasons why I decided to leave LA, because there was too much attached to him that was still there that I had to get out. And leaving Sacramento to move up here was very hard because it's constantly hitting reset on your social circle. I still keep in touch with them, sure, but like it's been a rough couple months trying to like reacclimate and find a new job and find a new social circle and find things to do in a town that is so much smaller than every place else I lived. And when I lived in California, I lived in 3 of the biggest cities in California, so to go from that kind of size and population to where I am now was quite the downshift. As far as living in California, there's a lot of very nice on the outskirts cities, I'm sure, that I've never lived in because I've only lived in those big cities.
Was you financially? Was that what determined where you live? More of your personal preference, or was
That and leaving bad situations and bad memory. My wife, she still owns her home in Sacramento, and her mom lives there, but maybe 2 years ago now, it was almost burnt down because of a fire started by what do they call them? An unhoused gentleman who was living on the other side of her fence that we had to call the police multiple times. They would kick out her fence boards and use them for fires. And I worked for a homeless nonprofit. I managed a warehouse to try to. I was responsible for setting up hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of donations to help the homeless population in Sacramento. And so I am not unsympathetic to that cause. I am very unsympathetic to how California addresses that issue, because I think they are trying to. I don't even know if they're trying to put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound at this point. I think it almost seems like they're trying to keep it a thing. They're not trying to fix it by creating programs that enable instead of help to overcome. The organization I worked for had nothing set up to try to get people into a workforce.
And it was a private place that you
nonprofit,
right?
yeah,
So
not government funded.
That's totally separate from the state.
It is, and they butt heads with the state's regulations a lot too. But the state right now, the state is making it illegal to sleep outside, basically, which is tough for homeless people. But there's a lot of yeah, it's kind of the thing, right? Yeah, but a lot of people are like, why can't we just build tiny homes and put them in? And it's like, I don't know what analogy to give, but it's like, why can't you just give, like, I'm not even going to try an analogy, but a lot of those people aren't prepared to make that step. They are still have debilitating addictions that are going to have them strip that tiny home for copper, go sell it so they can buy more drugs. And when you're putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, as it were, to try to fix problems like that, it makes it very difficult. And not focusing on the mental health crisis that's happening, or ignoring our veterans who are homeless and have severe mental health issues and really need help and deserve it for what they did for our country, and instead putting more attention into people who are not from here. And I am not unsympathetic to that plight either. If I was not from the United States, I would do everything I could to try to come here too. And by no means am I. I have friends who are the children of immigrants, legal and otherwise.
Stay where you are and try and make it better, though.
Maybe, but I don't. I'm not going to pretend to know what it's like growing up in a third world country or any place when just a few thousand miles away is opportunity and more money and a place that you want your kids to have access to. I get that. Mm-hmm. But when it comes, when it's put ahead of the people who were born here, and I think I told you this one time too, when I lost my job and me and my wife needed to find health care, when we went to go apply for it, on the homepage, it offered free health care for non-citizens. Me and her had to end up paying $1,200 a month for health care, which was more than double what I was paying when I had a job. Mm-hmm. But we really needed it for a couple months until I found something else. Right. But to make it harder for us to get by, and while I was on unemployment, I was getting $800 every 2 weeks, $1,600 a month. My rent was $2,300 a month. Not to mention my other bills and expenses. It makes it impossible to live there, and there's a slew of issues that I have with that state. And the reason I chose to move here was the more affordable cost of living, was more of the focus on the citizens of this state and country, and the attention and
feel the redneck vibes coming out.
I try to hide them because I know I am in the minority in most of my groups of friends, and I've lost friends who assumed I was more right-leaning than I really am. But
would your friends in LA, I'm assuming people take it very seriously what type of party you lean towards, right?
Everywhere in California they do, and it's not just the one side. It's just what our country's become, where there is no nuance, there is no in the middle. we push each other to one side or the other. None of us, when most of us are like, no, I'm in the middle. I believe vehemently this thing that side believes in, and this thing that side believes in. But you tell one person one of those things, and they're like, oh, you're a this or you're a that, and it's like, I'm not though.
What is California as a whole? Is it red or blue?
It's what's darker than blue.
Darker than blue? Oh my!
It is very blue.
So they're literally going off into the ocean.
It is
sink in the deep blue.
Very blue. Yeah, and not for nothing, but a lot of the states that are run by Democratic politicians are falling to shit, and there's reason for that, and I get that the other side comes off as heartless and cruel and anti-person and we're just like, we don't care about anything, and we're racist or any of that stuff. And I just come from a place of more pragmatism, and where it's like, you gotta let's fix the problems that us as American citizens have and are facing before we branch off and try to fight wars around the world, or
right.
And that goes against things that people who would label me as Republican or conservative, which I am not. I would not label myself as that. I am very much I'm libertarian, and
so you're not Republican.
I'm not registered. I'm a registered libertarian. I believe in and this is more right leaning. I believe in less government. I think the government has very basic responsibilities that they owe to us as citizens, and they're here to protect us in certain aspects. I think that they overreach way too often and do way too much to involve themselves in our lives. That is not what this country was founded on.
Right.
And we're never going to get to a place that is good.
Don't lose faith.
No,
I believe in the people, man.
Believe all you want to. Again, when you're my age, I think you'll think differently. When you've experienced a little bit more.
Start to lose hope.
Yeah, it's tough. I try to unplug from all that stuff now, and even moving here, I got some words from some people I consider friends that were very disappointing. It was just like, really? Is that what you? Is that how close-minded you are in thinking? Because this town does not have a good reputation. Even as
Now
of the
that all
recording
the
of our last podcast, when what was going down. But it's been going on here for a long time. But it's not defined by that. Just like San Francisco isn't defined by the human feces on the street. Like to break any situation, person, city, state down to black and white or red and blue in our case is and I try not to besmirch California for just being a blue state. There's a lot of people I know who live there who lean politically
California
otherwise.
Changed? Because I feel like I remember seeing it on
Ronald
the
Reagan
voting map as red in the past.
Not in your lifetime. Not in your lifetime.
In my entire lifetime?
No. I mean, the last Republican governor there maybe was Schwarzenegger. There may have been one after that.
Who's the mayor of San Francisco?
The mayor of I don't know the mayor of San Francisco.
Oh.
No, there aren't any in the major cities in California. I don't think there are any Republican mayors. Mm-hmm. It is.
Well, I was just told that the San Francisco mayor is one of the worst in all of California.
Yeah.
Just from a YouTube video. I don't know if it's true.
San Francisco, LA, yes, those are the worst. The governor too is pretty awful. But I don't know. I could get into politics, and I am going to piss a lot of people off by the things I say. But I've also stopped caring what people think because I cared for so long, and I hid anything I thought because of living in LA. Mm-hmm. I got cornered at my birthday party by 3 very close friends of mine, one of which I was in his wedding party, and I got accosted for voting for Trump, which I did not.
Whoa.
I did not vote for him, but they just assumed because I wanted to have dialogue about things or I wanted to push back. I wanted to learn. I have not always felt the way I felt.
Just because you're open-minded, they put you
I
in
wanted to
a
have
category.
discourse about things, and they took that as an affront to what they know is right. And I wasn't trying to be challenging, or I wasn't trying to be combative. I just want to be like, well, why do you think this? I think this way, and I think what you think is wrong. Let's talk about it. And it got to a point where I'm backed into a corner at my birthday party, being scolded for being what's wrong with this country. And it's like, that's why I think nothing's going to change, because we have an entity of the media that makes money off of division. Their social media, corporate media, all these things, they make money off of creating divisiveness amongst us. If those platforms did the opposite and tried to unify
So what
everybody,
you're saying is
they
I
wouldn't
need
make
to
money.
debate you and say the opposite.
You can, but that's exactly right. Your algorithm shows you things that are going to make you want to reply, right? So yes, we live in our echo chambers. That's the other problem, is that they show us things that we agree with, and we never learn.
Well, but also I get such a sense of like comfort when I hear things that I believe in.
Said by somebody else.
Yeah,
I do
and
too.
so it's like I
That's
subscribe to so many people that see the same viewpoint as me.
I know. Is that
I
good
like
or
it.
bad that you do that?
It's just reaffirming my biases. But
Yes, right? And I do that too. I will step out as often as I can and try to listen or watch or take in another opinion. And that's why I think certain platforms that people will label. It's funny that people label Joe Rogan as conservative when he is.
he used to be liberal.
He is still.
Yeah.
He's very. A lot of us are socially liberal and fiscally conservative. That's
What
what
does that mean though? Because I think I see that same point, but like I can't even fully define what I mean by that when I've tried to share that same
So
thought.
fiscally conservative, meaning that we don't want taxes going to fund things that we don't believe in or we find are unnecessary, things like that, right?
And I take that a step further. I don't feel like I should be paying for things that I don't imagine the government should be doing.
Yes,
if
exactly.
the government is running crazy operations, then why is my tax money going? And it's like the government works for the people. It's not the other way around. Like today's day and age, it looks so much more like we work for the government and we have to do what
It's
the government
because
wants.
the government
it's
is
supposed to be the other way around.
They're a corporation at this point. They are there to make money, and we don't see that return on investment as often in our lives as we should. Right? How many times I lived in California and there were taxes, and the gas taxes were added for the infrastructure to fix the roads and freeways. And they are the worst roads and freeways in the country, and you don't see any work being done on them. And when work starts to get done, it takes the entire time I lived in Sacramento, I saw the same street, not even like a freeway or major construction, the same street being worked on, and it's still not done. And it's how can we bleed this out? How can we make money
An
for a long
example I
time?
heard that's super funny to me is it honestly feels like if you were to go out and buy a McDonald's and you set up the manager, you set up this whole McDonald's, and then the McDonald's manager comes to you and says, hey, come start making these burgers for McDonald's. And it's like, whoa, no. We own the government. The people are supposed to be in charge of the government and vote and have a say on the government.
Yeah.
It's not the other way around where the government's just supposed to tell us what's happening.
And you have to question why certain people are vilified for how they are, why politicians are painted in certain lights when it goes against what your side or what the other side believes in. There's going to be things that are said and done that just aren't true, and I don't even know, especially in today's AI and all that stuff. Like, it's hard to know what's true and what's not, right? And so I'm still very conflicted on a lot of things. So I say I'm socially liberal because I believe that an individual should be able to do whatever they want to. I am not against.
It doesn't infringe on other people's freedoms.
Exactly. 100%. I agree. And that's a tough place to be in the middle of. I chose to move here because I think we are allowed a lot more freedoms for a lot less tax than other states I've lived in. I personally am not someone who wants my money to go to federally funding organizations like Planned Parenthood. Do I think that they should be an organization that is allowed to exist and operate? That's up to them and the people who want to use them as an organization. I don't want my money going to fund that, though. That's my belief. And if I did, guess what? I could donate to an organization that I believe in. I don't need that decision to be made that me and every other citizen has their money go towards it. And that's just an example. I don't think that everyone should be allowed to own a gun. I don't think everyone should be allowed to drive. I think you should have to pass tests to have these things. Do you have the right to have those things? Yes, but rights come with responsibilities.
And just the option of having the people be in control of the government means that as an individual, you're going to be giving up some of your own personal beliefs for the sake of the entirety of the people.
Yeah.
You know, you can't think everyone in America is going to think just like you, but we want it to be up to the people. So you're going to have to give up getting some nitty gritty specific things that you might want so that everyone can get, you know, what's
and like a lot of things,
applied to
if
all
you
of us.
do your job right, you shouldn't have your job much longer. Like, you should fix things
That's a good
and
point.
pass it on to somebody else. Why do we have politicians who are in public office for decades? They obviously aren't doing a very good job at fixing the things that they're fixing or that they're trying to fix, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting. It makes me think of back when a lot of government officials was volunteer work. Like, they didn't get paid. And it's like, I feel like that makes a lot of sense.
The other annoying thing is nobody votes locally, or if they do, they don't research. Like, we all stand on our soapboxes and complain about the president or governors or these, but how often do you take time to not let alone run for or try to be involved in your local government, but actually research, campaign for, put in the actual work, put in a fraction of the time you're putting into typing about it in your little echo chamber of a social media platform, and instead, like, actually go and try to make a difference. I get so annoyed by people. I never post anything online, and I get annoyed by friends of mine who do, because it's the same thing as a bumper sticker, man. Have you ever been stopped at a red light and read a bumper sticker that says, vote for so-and-so, and you're like, you know what? That's a good point. I am going to vote for that person because
Every time I see a bumper sticker that's like that one-sided, I'm always worried for that person.
I was stopped behind a car the other
careful,
day, and I was told to end racism, and so I decided to end racism that day. You know, I don't.
Oh, see, that bumper sticker was worth it.
I never considered it. I never considered it until somebody put it, and that person pats themselves on the back, thinking that they did their part to change the world
single-handedly ending racism in America
by also vilifying every white person and saying that we're all racist.
Now, okay, so what are your thoughts on
Racism? I love it.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
There is a truck out there that really sets off some people that says
so dumb.
white privilege on the front of it, and it's a huge lifted truck, and right on the front says white privilege.
Those people are just as bad as the people on the other side. I hate the idiots. I hate the. I'm trying to find the right terms to use for people to not offend anybody. I hate the extremes of both ends. They're both equally annoying.
Oh yeah.
I am as I think if you knew me, you would say I probably fall closer to the redneck, hillbilly kind of mentality of our country. But damn, do they annoy me just as much, if not more, than the other side.
It's funny because, like, your social vibe is a very redneck, fun, funny person.
Yeah.
But then when it comes down to, like, your political viewpoints, then you're, like you said, you're a lot more in the middle, and you're very sympathetic to the other side, which I feel like
I'm
is super
sympathetic
important.
to it, but I'm also pragmatic to be like, some things aren't going to be fixed the way that people want them fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just... To say let's get rid of all guns is just an asinine thing to say. It's just dumb. It's just a dumb thing to say at this point. There's certain bells that have already been rung and you can't unring them. So as long as the guns exist in this world, I would love to be able to have one. And are they going to be used for the wrong reason? Yeah, but you know what else are? Cars.
At times.
Are cars going to be used as weapons? How many people do cars kill every year? Yet we'll throw anybody in one or two of those, and be fine with that. Like,
right.
I think there is a responsibility of being a citizen of this country that a lot of people take for granted, and they're so entitled that they don't think they have to put the work in, and they don't like it when it doesn't go their way. And it's like, live somewhere else and tell me it's better. Like, we are so
Right.
fortunate to have what we have in this country. And are we flawed? Way more so than a lot of other countries. But you know what? It's still the best place to live. And I get
The
I
best?
get
Are you sure about that though?
yeah, I haven't lived anywhere else, but so I might be hypocritical in suggesting that, but uh, based off what I know freedoms we have versus what
All right.
I mean,
I still like 100%. I would believe that it's up there. It's got to be in the top countries in the world for sure.
yeah,
But I can't help but be like, there's probably some place out in the world.
okay,
that
but
might
it's gonna be
just
boring as
good
hell.
or better.
It's
Okay,
gonna be
maybe
boring as
boring,
hell.
but a lot of people would choose boring over safety.
Then
issues,
move
you know?
there. That's exactly what I did. I chose boring over safety.
Okay.
I instead of my wife's house getting burned down and her losing her life and her pets' lives, we decided to move to boring.
Okay.
No offense, North Idaho, but you aren't as exciting as some other places.
Oh yeah, it's
But
definitely a wild state.
yeah, I just feel like there's certain inalienable rights and freedoms that as a human being you should be allowed to have, and to pretend that we have less of those, or that our country is worse off, or that we're racist when slavery still exists elsewhere in the world, and racism and homophobia is far worse in other parts of the world, and we're working on it, and it's still bad. It's not great, but I don't know. I think a lot of us are disconnecting more from human experiences, and the more people I met, the more open minded I became. Right, and so the more we push back, and I hate that I'm even saying these things, and I would say I tried to stop myself from saying, because I know it's going to cause divisiveness in people who
No
listen to
matter
this.
what you say though.
Then don't say anything, and make changes on your own, or try to. I'm a big proponent of affecting the things within arm's reach of you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big proponent of having a good family life where you can affect positive change in that, in your friend circle, in your job, and things like that. And standing on these soapboxes, I saw so many posts from people vilifying celebrating the 4th of July.
Oh yeah,
Which
This
is
year
just-
there was a lot.
It is just, it's so hypocritically ironic that you're doing this on a platform that you could only do because of the country you live in. It's, I don't know, and it doesn't do anything to just cry about it. And posting about it, putting that bumper sticker on your social media, is only echoing and reaffirming to those who already agree with you, and angering those who don't. No one's mind is getting changed
But
because you post something on
Playing
social
devil's
media.
advocate here, I think the bigger issue, what's much worse, is the fact that it should never be a danger for you to share your opinion. Like, people are literally burning people's cars that have the opposite party's
You're
bumper
right.
stickers on and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, that is insane.
That's
People
why I
should
changed
have
my
every
California
right
license plates.
to have an opinion, have a favorite thing or a favorite party or a favorite side, you know?
You're right.
They should have every right to do that
And what's-
without fearing their own life.
What's
you know?
crazy
That's
is that one side that argues and screams about inclusion and accepting everyone is very much more vocal about vilifying those who don't agree with them. In my opinion, and what I've experienced, I have met some friends who I do not agree with politically. I've never unfriended on social media or in real life any person in my life. I've never done that because I want to know what they're saying. A, I want to know who the stupid people are so I can avoid them. And B, I
want
want
to
to.
know if I'm wrong too.
That's
I
what I'm
wanna
saying.
Hear their side.
That's what I'm saying. And I've been proven wrong. I've changed my opinion on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I also, in that same journey to try to find understanding in life, I have reinforced by listening and watching like you do some of the things that align with how you think. It does help reinforce it. And I'm not begrudging the other side for doing that. I think we all just know what we know. And we shouldn't change the other people's minds, but it doesn't mean we can't talk about it, and there's healthy ways of talking about it, and starting out the gate by making the other side seem like an asshole isn't a good way to start a conversation, you know?
Not usually.
Try to align, try to sympathize with what their perspective is, and then constructively convey yours.
Right.
I do have less hope than I once had for this country because I don't think that's changing. I think it's only going to get worse. There's not ever going to be a president that unites us all and makes us all feel like we all, or the majority of us, actually the majority won last time, but so that might be an example. Like I get this question, or you hear this brought up a lot. It's like, what would unify us? And I think the stereotypical answer is like an alien invasion. That'll get us all together.
There you go. Yeah, once there's a third party forcing us all to reunite.
No. Last time this country was united was 9/11, and there's even issues with the uniting on that thing too. But it's not going to happen. If an alien...
Do you think, though, that's why there might be a war, and a war might unite us?
No, because I think there like a war that we are involved with, because Ukraine and Iran and all these current wars have divided us even more.
Yeah, but what if there was like a world war?
Maybe I'm not convinced
that at all.
No,
it's like there's been so many scares of like world wars breaking out, World War III and stuff.
Listen,
like, if that were to happen, that would kind of force us.
I honestly truly believe that's why like zombie movies and shows are popular, because it may not implicitly imply this, but I think in the back of our heads it all makes us think like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to work together to get through
an
apocalypse.
Have you seen The Walking Dead though?
Yeah.
The scariest parts in that whole series.
That's what the show's
other people.
That's what the show is named. That's why it's called The Walking Dead. It's fight the dead, fear the living is the tagline for that comic book and show. The living are
worse than the dead.
Yes,
I think that's so sad.
And that's my point. That I don't think an alien invasion or a zombie apocalypse would unite us. We would still find ways to be divided. I think it's human nature, and it's in our biology to be aggressive towards and fearful of the things that we don't understand or that we don't agree with.
That's not true.
Well, hope in one hand and shit in the other. See what fills up first.
Of the world. Okay. So
I'm not giving up, but I'm not. But I'm going to try to affect the people around me. I'm not going to.
And you're being a realist. You're taking your life experiences and being like, this is just the way it is.
And that's
whether it's sad or not, you got to face reality.
That's the breakdown of that argument. Is that I can't help but change my mind on that opinion. That I am. Right. And the other side is, no, we have to lead with love and do these things that are these utopian ideas of rainbows and unicorns. And I'm like, put that in a script and I'll buy a ticket to see that movie. Right. That's a wonderful idea. So is Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and all these other make-believe things that are just not realistic. And so for you to get aggressively anti-me because I'm not going to buy into your fairy tale notion of what changes can actually physically happen in the time that you want them to happen, I'm not on this ride for long enough to waste my energy to put into that. I'm gonna and that's why although we're talking about this stuff and a lot of our conversations, I always lean into, I'm not worried about success or politics or things that I get worked up about. I try to actively retreat away from those things and watch movies and go to stand-up comedy shows and laugh more than I cry. And man, trying to follow the state of the world or our society or social politics, there's no joy in that. There's nothing. You're not going to walk away feeling good about yourself after any of those things. So I actively try to make light and make fun of and find humor in as much of life as I can, including the darkest stuff that breaks us on a day-to-day basis. I try to laugh at it, you know, and that's, I think in the end, I'm going to be a lot happier of a person because of that, as opposed to somebody who's just punching air about the change that's not happening.
Yeah. I think that is a very realist viewpoint. Let's shift a little bit though, because we need to give them some hope, something.
Do we?
In the sense of like...
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
There has to be ideas or things that you, from your perspective, you think can help and could come up with some type of solution, such as you have a lot of experience with the homeless issues. Isn't there something you've seen throughout the system where if you could make certain change or the state made certain changes, it would be super beneficial and help.
The only thing I would try to start to address the issue, and the pragmatic person in me, this is going against your hope and optimism, is that a lot of those people don't want to be helped. They just don't. I've talked to some of them. I've talked to ones that are very much desperately seeking help and can't find it, and I've talked to others who have been given more access to things to help them than I have ever had in my life and actively don't want it. I think mental health is what non-homeless people, what all of us have to focus more on than we do. I think it's at the root of a lot of issues in this country, and I think we ignore it, we gloss it over, or we substitute the remedy for it with other things.
Okay, so is it more of the focus should be homelessness is going to be an inevitable thing in every city, so we have to become more normalized and accept that? Or is it more of like, if you don't like the homelessness, you need to step up and do your part? Is there something that can be done, or is it just something
Both.
that needs to be a normal part of
Yeah,
life?
both. I remember growing up with my family as a kid. Every Christmas we would you hear about this. Do you adopt a family or you adopt a homeless person? You do things. I would. I'm sure I would be painted as unsympathetic to the homeless people based off things I say. For most of my life, I always have driven around with a little package of things in my car: socks, non-perishable food, bottles of water, things like that. And if I see somebody struggling, is it selfish? Yeah, it makes me feel good to go do that. But that is such a pebble in the pond that might have a ripple effect that you're unaware of. And it's not about finding out what that outcome is to pat yourself on the back. It's just being kind to somebody else. It's easy to do. And my hope and what I try to do in life is random acts of kindness like that. From picking up a piece of trash on the ground to opening the door for somebody, to just smiling at somebody or making a joke to somebody in an elevator. Like, bring some lightness to somebody's day that maybe they needed to hear in that moment. So you expand bigger on that, and you're like, okay, that makes me feel good. I want to volunteer at a soup kitchen. I want to. Before I moved, I was selling a lot of my stuff, and this awesome woman came with a homeless gentleman in her car that she saw living in her neighborhood and is trying to like help out. And she bought like a sleeping bag and a tent and a bunch of stuff for me, and I gave her some free stuff on top of that. Just be like, hey, go help that guy. Like, sure. Is that gonna if everyone did that, will it fix that problem in the world? No, because.
But that's the best solution, a better solution than the government just pumping a bunch of money into homelessness.
Or having a clean needle exchange for people who are drug users and homeless. Being like, oh, we don't want them spreading disease. I get that, so let's give them clean needles. Well, now you're just enabling them to continue to do drugs.
Right.
There's a lot of money being thrown at ways to solve all problems in this world, and yet they still exist. So why is that? A lot of it is because if you give money to an organization to try to fix a problem, it behooves them to not fix that
They're gonna
problem.
keep the problem going.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe they may want to try to help it, but if they fix it, they're out of money. They're out of a
I feel like
job.
the mindset approach would be more about, rather than resolving it, we're gonna just help it in a way that can keep the funds coming, keep our organization going, and help them. So like everyone kind of wins,
One of the
rather
reasons
than
why
just tackling the
California
problem.
and Washington and Oregon have gotten a lot worse with their homeless problems, their vagrancy as they have, is because those states have things set up to make it easier and more comfortable to be homeless.
Oh yeah, I've heard of people moving literally from Arizona to Washington for the homelessness benefits.
Yes.
Because it sounds like it's such a great
Yes. Now there's two sides of that coin. The heartless, my take side of it is no, cut those out and make it harder for them to be homeless. Make them have to try to work their way out of it. As I say that, I'm like,
hard work for sure.
yeah. As I say that, I'm like, wow, what an ass to say something like that. That's so messed up. But it's just like when you have a kid and you give them an allowance, and then when they have to get a job, are they going to have any work ethic to go get that job? No, you've made it too comfortable. They don't know anything different. So states that are I think, a little more heavy-handed in trying to be harsher with how they address that issue. Because the fact of the matter is, the company I worked for, the organization, the nonprofit, we, in every way that we helped the individuals who came there for free food, free supplies, free survival items, inevitably every morning when we opened up our warehouse, there was human waste on the ground that they did right there with a porta potty 50 feet away. There was graffiti. There were small fires set. They would get in fights. There were people murdered right outside of our campus fighting with each other. Our staff would be attacked. There is something bigger than just not having food or shelter for these people. There is a mental health crisis that you can't just avoid. So what hope can I give people is what I say with everything is, if you have kids, raise them the best you can, because you got to make good people, right? And you got to hope that they are going to then affect other people. If you have friends that seem like they're, or family members that seem like they're struggling, it's probably worse than they're even showing you. Like, be there for people in your life, in any big or small way you can. And that's how I think there's hope for us as individuals and as a society.
Where would you guess the homelessness stems from, though? Because it doesn't sound like it's just a money issue.
It's not one. There's not one issue. It could be from, again, addiction to substances that made them lose their family and their job, and therefore couldn't afford to be where they're living.
It's very likely drugs or alcohol are the leading cause to homelessness.
Right? And mental health. Yeah, it's also the system that we have that do we really rehabilitate our criminal population? Like, I had a heartbreaking conversation with a gentleman who he was broken down, and I had nothing to offer him, but he was telling me that he doesn't want to go back to jail because he knows what he would become if he went there and how he would have to survive while there, right? And so he's like, so I just want to get a job. I want to earn money so I can support my kids that I can't see right now. And my organization had nothing to help him find a job. That was not. We had 16 programs on that campus. One was trying to find housing for them, low income. One was legal services. We had nothing set up to try to help them find work.
Jobs? Wow.
And that's crazy, right? And so that organization did a lot that was really good, but I'm very grateful that I don't work for them anymore, because you see how things can be taken advantage of. And I'm sorry, any friends of mine who are still friends with me and probably not after this that still work there and that may listen to this, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you're purposefully putting blinders on. Now, are they helping more than they're hurting? I think they are.
Mm-hmm. Or at least it's a net positive.
Right, but for
it's a lot of money.
For the financial director of that organization to make as many trips to Hawaii as she does a year, to get heated bathroom flooring, to get new cars in the 2 years I worked there.
All funded from this organization?
From this nonprofit organization. Yeah. To maybe fire people to be able to distribute the salaries at that organization better. I don't know. Maybe that happened. Maybe it didn't. Yeah. To tell me not to get married to my wife when I wanted to because it was going to hurt their budget for the next year, and ask me to wait till after the new year.
That's so
to literally have those things happen is gross and evil and sociopathic.
Right.
And so I think a lot of organizations that maybe even started with the good intentions, if they get enough funding or find a way to make money, yes, you have to pay the people who work there to be able to run it and do it well. Mm-hmm. And what they were paying some of our employees that would get physically assaulted every day, they're making $17 an hour.
For California.
For California, really it is impossible to live on that, right? So no wonder people didn't want to work there when McDonald's is offering $20 an hour.
Right.
You know, like,
yeah.
And so you have to be able to pay these people. So yes, you have to find a way to make money.
How would that work? Because I don't know how all the donations and stuff work, but like if I was in a place giving away free stuff to homeless people and I saw something that I maybe wanted, like if it's free stuff, can the employees just, oh, I want this, take something, or is that obviously not allowed? Like what's
Yes,
they can run around the block and be like, I'm homeless.
Yeah. Oh, people. I remember when I told people that I worked there, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, me and my buddies, we work up the street. We go there for free lunch every day." They don't check if you're homeless or not. You know they have lists.
Food, basically.
Yeah, which is fine. There's enough food, but yeah, we were. I don't want to get into too many specifics, but there's a lot of shady stuff done at that place that didn't need to be done, and they could have been helping more people, but for whatever greedy reasons or whatever. And I was a party to it too. I admit that I did not do as much as I could to do the opposite of what I'm suggesting was done. But
One thing that really opened my eyes to it is when I found out that there are donation centers that let you donate cars to them.
Yeah.
There's rich people
For
that just
tax
donate
write-offs.
crazy nice stuff
Yeah.
to these donation centers.
Yeah.
And I just can't help but believe the people up top are probably benefiting from that or, using that to their advantage for sure. But
yeah, and
it's interesting.
it's things there are so many things that I have lost my faith in humanity that I've experienced, but I still have hope and faith, and I would be a miserable void of any joy kind of person if I really believe that is the way of the world and how everything is. But you find people around you that give you hope, and you lean into that.
Right. And that's the thing. We're not looking for perfection here. We're just trying to see where the good is and what's better than others. And from your personal experience, you've got to see firsthand what a private organization doing whatever they can to help. Do you think that at least is having more of a net positive than the state official ways they try to help the homeless?
I think they're probably about the same. I don't know enough about the state-run programs to really comment because I didn't work for any of them, and I wasn't involved in the homeless issue until I worked for this one.
Them when you were living there, and it's supposedly a big deal in
It is
California, right?
Yeah, but
state helping the homeless.
Yeah, but I did not practice what I'm preaching and say, go get involved and find out how you can help, because I didn't care enough about it, if I'm being honest. I was young and selfish, and I still don't volunteer in areas of life that I should, and that's something I would love to fix. But it's hard enough getting out of bed every day sometimes, that you can't help fix others if you are broken yourself. So
right. There's a lot of other things with our government and with just life in general that probably would prioritize slightly above, trying to fix your whole city's problems.
There's not a lot of money to be made in fixing the homeless epidemic. You know what I mean? There's money in medicating it. There's not a lot of money in non-pharmaceutical addressing of mental health. There's a lot of money in pharmaceutical addressing of mental health, and we see commercials for them every day.
Right now, we're at an all-time high for pills and medical health, but we're also at an all-time high mental issues.
For suicide rates and all that stuff.
It's I see a correlation hand in hand with that, and it's not solving any problems, it seems like.
Nope. And you want me to have faith?
Oh, man.
So, my thing is, I don't have, I wish I did have more concrete suggestions for how to solve these things. I'm the kind of person that just likes to find humor, joy, laughter, and what I can. And some of that is gallows humor. Some of it is laughing at the dark, inevitable end of this ride that we all have coming pretty soon. Because I've seen
end though. How it's not gonna.
Oh,
end,
I'm sorry.
Right?
Well, it is good. Life.
Oh well.
Here's a fun stat.
Well, it's not like.
Here's a fun statistic for you: 10 out of 10 people die. I don't know if you knew that. So
wouldn't it technically be 9 out of 10 people because a lot of people are still alive?
No, those people are going to die.
Yeah, but I've never died in my whole life.
Just you wait.
I know,
Spoiler.
But until
Eskel,
that
spoiler.
happens, wouldn't I be
10 out of 10 people
that have
will
died?
die.
Will? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
10 out of 10 people die. Everyone dies.
I mean, yeah, eventually, but there's still a billion
Semantic
people
police.
that have not died yet.
Yeah, they will. They will. I think enough of my personal experience, and I think all of our experiences in, I think the pandemic gave a lot of perspective of this, is that we don't know when our ticket gets punched. We might step off the curb tomorrow and get hit by a bus, right?
I know, but I'm not talking from a selfish perspective. I'm saying like the society, the government.
You have to start
Where
selfish.
is that gonna go?
You have to start selfish and try to be as strong of an individual as you can.
Start within yourself.
Yes, and then affect this circle, and then grow. There's so many people making decisions and in politics and standing on a soapbox screaming about what's wrong in the world when their life is a huge mess.
Right.
You know,
I
and
haven't found any solutions yet.
yeah. What was the last, would you say, pop culture or social change icon that we've had in our lives? So some in the way past, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, Gandhi. There are these outspoken, like larger than life people. When was the last time we had one of those?
Isn't that a Peterson guy?
Jordan Peterson?
Yeah.
He is for some of us.
Christ Reborn Again or something?
I think he's got a lot of very smart things to say that a lot of people don't like to hear because it's too pragmatic and they don't like that.
Well, here's the thing. I think his message is great. I think it's going to do good, a net positive for the world. But he does come across a little too much like he's the walking Christ, and that rubs me a little the wrong
Well,
way.
he's a hardcore Christian too, so that has a lot to do with
There's
it.
nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not. No,
But there is something wrong with like leaning into you being Christ.
I don't
right?
think. I disagree. I don't think he leads into that. My perspective on him is that I think he believes in what he believes in, and he won't falter on
You
that.
won't back down for
No, and I think there's something
Which,
admirable about that
yeah.
on any side of it. But I'm talking about he's very divisive. I'm talking about who's somebody
so
that like
divisive about him. He doesn't talk about. I
'cause
thought his
he's-
whole message was about like coming together and like uniting people and all that.
no, he's very pragmatic about like not forcing social identity politics on people. He got fired from his job for pronoun usage at his university in Canada, and the left and the LGBTQ plus I forget which letters I forgot.
Wait, I'm still not saying anything he's done wrong though.
That community is very much against him because he is labeled as transphobic and things like that because he is just pragmatic about some of the things he preaches. But he is very a chapter of his book, Clean Your Room, is very much about get your shit together before you go start saving the world.
Right.
Clean your room,
That
clean
makes
your
a lot of
house,
sense.
clean your community. Start there, and then. But what I'm saying is that the reason I have less than ideal faith is that I can't think who the last person that both sides of an ideology could both agree with, like, yeah, this person's actually gonna give us hope.
Trump kind of did that with getting the popular vote a little bit.
I think that a lot of people believe in who he is, and I did vote for him this time. I did not the
First time?
Yeah, I did this time because Jesus Christ, what was the alternative? I mean, none of the people I voted for in the primaries were going to make it. So, and I'm sorry to any of my friends who are going to unfriend me for that fact that I did that. But
Hey,
go
you
ahead
should
at this
have every
point.
right to have an opinion.
You
And
should.
our
You
vote
can't
should
in this
not
country.
be determined by you. Okay.
Yeah.
You have to make your own decisions.
Yeah,
yourself.
absolutely, and vilify me for my beliefs if you want to, but that's not the person I'm going to be for any of
They
you.
have every right to if they want to.
But no, I mean he's the opposite of what I'm suggesting. You're saying that
So Trump, you think, is more controversial?
he's way
than
more
he is-
polarizing than anyone we've seen in our society in a long time.
Really?
Do you not have friends on the other side?
Liberal friends?
Yeah,
Yeah. I have a lot of liberal.
they don't refer to him as Hitler or
Oh yeah, a lot of them hate him, but they still voted for him. So I'm like,
what? I want to meet these people.
No,
Really?
I know quite a few people that really hate Republican Party, Republic stuff, but they still voted for Trump.
That's me. I hate Trump. I think as a person, he's
See,
deplorable.
hold on, we got to define this though, because their wording is that they hate Republican ideology, but they still like Trump enough.
Yeah.
Not, I shouldn't even say they like Trump, but Trump was okay.
He's
enough
not as
for them to
yes,
vote for.
yeah. He used to be a Democrat. Like he
Wait,
like
he was? Really?
oh yeah. Very much so.
Learning new stuff every day.
Well, and if you go far enough back, the titles of the parties are almost opposite.
Yeah, switched over. That's right. I did hear that.
The Democratic Party was the party of slavery back in the day. At one point.
Wait, really?
It's crazy what this country is. We don't need to get into all that, but
crazy.
But
oh my gosh.
no, and a lot of I know a lot of personalities who define themselves as a what do they say, like a pre 9/11 Democrat or a 2000s Democrat, which it meant something. The Republicans used to be all about censorship and you can't say this and you can't do this and all that, and that has reversed very much so. You know, they're and one side is called fascist when the other side, who's calling them that, are trying to get rid of certain words, and you can't say these things.
All I remember is that it used to, from my perspective, it was like the liberals were always the ones that were like, we can be gay, we can be whatever we want, let everyone be free.
They still are
that,
yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. But now it's those same liberals that are being like, no, you have to say what we want you to say. And it's like, whoa, you were just fighting for freedom.
I just saw friends of mine post this yesterday, actually. There's this new thing going around. It's an upside down rainbow, and it is LGBTQ. It is the gay and queer community. A lot of them kind of leaving that to be like, we are allies, we are homosexual, and we support those. But what this movement has turned into is not us, and it is a detriment to what we are trying to be. Oh, yeah. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I don't care what you do behind closed doors. I don't care what you do out in public with the person you love, as long as isn't shoved in my face.
Well,
do you care?
Shoving in the face, everyone has a right to scream or say their opinion however they want, but it's when you are demanding someone else to do something. That's forcing them to call you a certain thing or to get some proper pronoun. That to me is where it's too far. So I felt super weird being like, when they were trying to get legalized gay marriage, I was like, that's great. More freedom, more power to the people, less government. Awesome. And then once it started saying you have to call me certain pronouns, I was like, whoa.
That's
holy smokes.
The job that I got fired for, and for lies that they said about me when they fired me. I think the first tiny straw that broke the camel's back was when I started there. I refused to put pronouns on my name tag or my email or anything like that, and that did not sit well with them. And it's not because I'm against. We had people who worked there who were theys or thems or whatever. If you ask me, I'll call you. I just don't. That's what Jordan Peterson's saying. He got fired for not doing it. Like you can't force somebody to do that, because it just it turns into this crazy
I'm not
thing.
As controversial, because I'm not the type of person that's like, oh, I will or I won't put this. I was the type of person that would take that approach and be like, select that non-preference or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't care. Someone calls me a ma'am or a she, and I'll just call them Buttercup. You know, like, it's whatever. It doesn't matter so much.
I told you to stop calling me that, by the way.
It's like, if you have a personal relationship with someone and they, in confidence, or like personally are your friend, so they want you to call them a certain thing, it's like, that's your individual relationship with someone. It should never be enforced. Even as a friend, me wanting someone to call me by a certain name or certain something, like, I feel like that's way beyond my own boundaries to demand that or enforce, especially when it was potentially going to be enforced by law.
Yeah.
You could get arrested for calling someone the opposite,
or lose your job.
Yeah.
It happened during many times in this country where politics were weaponized to make a point, and it ruined lives.
So political in all this.
This is the one time we've sat down to record where I tried to avoid bringing up politics, and your line of questioning, sir, led me straight into it. I wanted to talk about movies and Steve Buscemi.
The first hour was all just about Chris, which was great. That was plenty. And then we eventually got into politics, which is fine. I think. I don't know.
If people want to hear us talk about politics more, I will, and
Yeah, if this one does well, I'll do more.
Like, let us know if you do, because I equally want to shut up about it, because I recognize I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about how I view the world right now and what I align best with. If people want to hear more about that, I'll unleash myself and say all the things I am holding back from saying. Because I'm past the point of trying to save friends.
You're holding back?
You have no idea. I'm gritting my teeth and putting fingernail marks in my hands, just trying to not go off on.
Holding back. I can't wait to see.
Tune into Patreon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, get behind the paywall.
Patreon ones.
Get behind the paywall if you want to see some.
But I will say personally.
Here's the funny thing about this is that my close friends, and you guys know you'll be the ones listening to this. Lago, Bag, Joey, Steve, you guys, you're gonna call me a liberal cuck for not going harder than I have.
Really?
And,
wait, they're gonna call you a liberal?
Yeah, they'll make fun of me, but they'll
because they want you to be more.
They'll be like, say what you say in our chat thread, and I'm telling you right now, no, I will not say those things. I still am not yet employed, and I
copy and paste those up on the screen right here.
The title of this episode is no, I will not say the things from my text thread. Yeah, I don't know. Some of us also were assholes and we like to push buttons. I have, as much as I say that I try not to be divisive or like combative, I really do in serious arguments. But I also very much enjoy instigating and just trying to see, or say something hyperbolic. Like, next you're going to want me to refer to you as a dog? It's like, okay, nobody's really doing that. But, sometimes it's fun to poke at the bear and see what the response is. I thought you made a good point. You gave the analogy, and my friend Steve, who lives in Hawaii, texted me and shouted out to Hawaii. You gave the hypothetical of, like, if Hawaii says that all 14-year-olds have to start work, then it's Hawaii's prerogative to do that.
Yeah.
That's federalism. That's states' rights versus, and that's why some states are allowed to do extreme things and have laws that are different than other states, and that's the beauty of this country. The problem is when
it's so much easier to go from one state to the next. If you hate
and it's hard
Texas,
to
move
someplace
California.
else. Yes,
it's very different.
And that's easy to say and hard to do. It's expensive to move.
But that is easier than if the entire country decided they wanted to enforce all of Texas's laws.
Right.
All of the U.S. would be screwed. That would suck.
Yeah.
So much worse.
Yeah. And so that's that is my idea of less government, is that like the federal government should have very basic.
I love Texas, by the way. I know I sound like
and I know people get annoyed by thoughts and prayers, but they're going through some horrible shit right
Texas
now.
Is?
The flooding that's happened right there. Ooh. There have been. This is also another just gross and evil thing I've seen people post online, that like Texas is getting what they deserve. There are young children who have lost their lives from this natural disaster, and people are politicizing that, and that's just that makes me be like, my side's the villain, or a different opinion than you is the villain, and you're saying good because kids died. Like, that's some cold-hearted, callous shit.
That's
and
rough.
Yeah, and so that's my fear, is that we've become so jaded, and we are being encouraged to be vitriolic towards the other side, and we're being pushed to like force people into little camps of like, you're this or you're that, and not know each other as people. We talked about this with your stuff. Like, if you were just known as the guy who was in a cult, how would that make you feel? Does that define you?
I sure hope not.
No, you are so much more than that.
This was a lot.
So anyway, I agree in theory that dogs should be allowed to marry people. It's a weird point you made, Eskel, but whatever your beliefs are your beliefs.
I appreciate you respecting my beliefs, no matter how absurd they are.
I know.
So, That's a good segue.
I'm just kidding, everyone. By the way, he did not say that.
But that's a good point. People should be allowed to have their own thoughts and opinions without fearing their lives. So it doesn't mean everyone has to think the same way, or you have to feel obligated to implement other people's weird beliefs. But I think it's good for society when people can express their opinions and share their thoughts and ideas, and then other people can take what they want from it or not take anything from it at all if it's too crazy.
And like we said, we want feedback on what we've said.
Don't ask for feedback. We're gonna get it whether we ask or not.
Oh,
but now that we asked, they're gonna give it to you.
Did I say things that are factually incorrect or opinionatedly wrong? Arguably, yes, I did. And let me know, and I will either tell you why you're wrong, no, I'm just kidding, or I'll correct myself. Like in our first one, I in the comments
Tell me all the
posted,
things you said wrong.
blue is mentioned in the Old Testament. It's never mentioned in the New Testament of the Bible. So I fact checked that. Yeah.
Okay, but that's weird though because the New Testament is newer. So
Yeah.
how did they know about it in the older one but not in the newer one? That's weird to me.
I don't know. I think I might be wrong
forgot?
on this too,
Did
but I
society
think
all fall apart and then they forgot the color blue?
the other thing is we could get into this another time, but you know, translation of something thousands of years old does have things changed from time to time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
but we
It
don't
was
have to do
translated from multiple languages,
Yep.
but here's the one thing that I think religious people in the Bible does have going for them is it is, no matter what your beliefs are, it is definitely impressive all the generations, all the civilizations that the Bible has gone through and was able to still be a book to this day.
that. Yeah,
Like, that's pretty crazy.
#1 bestseller.
It is?
Yeah.
Makes sense, I guess.
First book
It's the
printed
probably the
on
most
printing press.
well-known book in the world, I would
Yeah.
assume, right?
Yeah, I'm waiting for
What
the
book is
sequel.
better
I hope
now?
they do an anthology and write some more. You know, I'm kidding.
Oh yeah. What? Why do you think it
What is it?
stopped, huh?
Oh,
The most entertaining history.
because they got it right the first time. Why, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Theoretically, though, the Bible's mostly just history about the world leaders of that time. So what if
Man.
the American history or the British history
We really are going to get
is
comments.
biblical? You know?
We are going to get
It
comments.
still exists to
now,
this
now we're
day.
talking. Now we're out of pocket with some of our stuff.
Oh, now you don't like what I'm saying? Oh man, that is funny. The LDS Church believes that their conferences are the next scripture of biblical.
I understood half of what you just said.
The LDS, the Mormons,
I do know them.
They
That's
believe-
the half I understood.
the conference
I don't know
where
what that is.
the prophet gives a talk once a year, twice a year actually.
Okay.
And
There's
that-
a current prophet?
Oh yeah.
Who is that person?
His name's Russell M. Nielsen.
Why are you smiling when you say?
Because it's funny, I just know his full name because they
Was
always
he like-
reference him as Russell M. Nielsen.
We can go into this.
They don't just be like, "This is my buddy Russell."
Right.
Most people do.
Russie, we can go into this some other time too, but like that, I'm curious as to what it takes to become a prophet.
Prophet. Oh
Yeah.
man, they in the LDS faith and religion, it's a lot. Not as much as the Pope. Like the Pope, I've only seen a little bit of like how extensive it is to become a Pope, and we've had the first American Pope now, so that's kind of
Chicago's own.
But
What's up?
yeah, it's a lot to become an LDS prophet as well. So.
Okay. Anyway, when he gives his talk once or twice a year, what about it?
Yeah, then it's considered like it's written down, put into a book that's distributed throughout all members, but then it's also put into another more specialized kept record of book that is considered
That's a lot of
a
pressure.
new Bible.
That's a
gonna
lot of
be
pressure.
The next generation's Bible.
You know, George R.R. Martin got a lot of pressure trying to write the next Game of Thrones book, you know, and stuff like that. That's a lot more pressure.
I know the Game of Thrones. I wonder how popular that is. Like, what's being read more, the modern day Bible or the Game of Thrones, or is the Game of Thrones
Well,
the
Game of
modern day
Thrones
Bible?
isn't in the drawer of a lot of motels you go to. The modern day Bible, you know, the King James Bible is.
I know. Yeah. See, I don't think anything's gonna beat the Bible. It's pretty well known, and it's already so thick. Can you imagine adding to that? Like, I know very few people that have read it cover to cover, the entire
The
thing.
director's
So
cut.
to
of the
imagine,
Bible?
that it's longer, even more added to that. It's just kind of crazy.
Yeah, not enough pictures in it for me. I get bored. I need more. If there's like a pop-up version where just like you turn a page and like Jesus,
Or the movie. They're doing lots of movies about
The Chosen.
Yeah.
The Chosen. My mom and
dad
love that.
Yeah, that was pretty good. But it's also left up to interpretation. A lot of people argued and debated the way they depict certain scenes and stuff.
I think that's part of anything is we love to argue with each other.
Oh yeah,
we sure do.
Who's gonna be right?
And if you liked arguing and want to hear more arguing,
I don't know if we argued much on the Patreon, but we definitely had a good discussion. I liked it. When we get drunk, though, I feel like we're so soft. We're just like, yeah, that's right. You're right.
We also get distracted. We can try to find things that we are diametrically opposed in opinion on and sit down and have a conversation about it.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Can you think off the top of your head something that you know is probably not true, but you full-heartedly believe in it?
Well, I enjoy arguing and debating enough that I could take a stance on something like Bigfoot or something silly like that. Sasquatch,
interesting one to take.
Cryptozoology.
Well, what about something that's a little more believable, like the moon?
Wait, why are you saying it's not believable? You don't believe in Sasquatch, bro?
I don't. I'm sorry.
What? See, I'm trying to start. See what I'm doing? The moon
Only
landing,
a piece of shit would believe
the moon landing. I could probably, you could give me either side of an argument. Assign me a side to take on something.
Well, that's what I love about the moon landing is I've been on both sides. I've been
of the
to
moon.
The point, well,
it doesn't exist.
God, I've never gone that far. But
I know. Like, why haven't we been back?
Exactly, yeah. There's a lot of supporting evidence to both sides of that conspiracy theory.
Here's my take on that argument is I don't care.
Why not, though?
Because space travel is dumb.
Space travel.
It's dumb.
You could go and buy a piece of land on another planet one day.
Cool. There's also plenty of land here you can buy.
Yeah, but it's not as cool.
We're Earthlings. Let's care about Earth things.
Are you telling me if NASA came to you and said, Chris, we want you to be the first man to build a little hut on Mars?
I don't have enough middle fingers to show them if they ask me to do that.
You wouldn't go do that? That would be so cool.
I don't give an out of this world flying fuck what NASA does. I get that it's like, but what we've discovered in colonization is like, I think it's a waste of time.
Did you not see my first video on here?
I also think that any deep sea or space exploration that we do, if bad things happen while doing that, we deserve what we get. We don't belong. We don't belong in those places.
Why not? It's just as much ours as theirs. Whoever's out there.
Let them have it.
Why though? That's like, isn't that kind of like the mindset of
going to another world?
I'm probably definitely gonna have to cut this off, but no, like the native Indians, how they were like, we don't give a crap, we don't care enough, and then so the British were like, all right, we're gonna take all of this. Like, don't you think we should care?
I don't get the connection there, but I do agree with you there. Yeah, no, I just think so. What's the point? What's the point of going to space? What is your argument for us going to space?
Think of the real estate you can gain.
You really think we're gonna do terraform another planet that we can live on?
Why not?
Well, in our lifetime, we're not going to.
Oh, maybe not ours, but like
I don't give a fuck
by
about
our
who
kids'
comes after
lifetime.
us. I don't have kids. Do you have
but
kids?
Imagine if theoretically you could be the first one to build a house on it, and then sure, maybe you're too old to really enjoy it and live on it, but you build a house, then your kids for the next 10, 20 generations live there and like.
I think the money that we spend doing that, we could spend on making sure that we can live on this planet longer.
But we already can though. Like, can't we do both?
No, that's very American of you.
There's so much money.
Very colonizer of you. No, it's a waste of money. Like you're talking. Here's the thing. Don't spend money on NASA. Spend it on the homeless. How about that?
But you already said we already determined
here's
that
where
it's
we meet
not
in the
working.
middle.
It's not working.
I got it. You ready?
What if we sent all the homeless to the middle?
That's what I was gonna say. Homeless in space. That's
oh man, dude. That's
homeless in space. Let's do it.
Why did they get to go though?
Get to?
Yeah.
Fine, give them your house and you can go.
Oh.
What do you want to go to space for?
That would just be so cool.
Here's the thing, we talked about this before. You don't watch enough movies to know the bad idea that it is to go out in space.
Really?
Not the movies are real.
Because it's so dangerous, you could die or something.
Yeah, you're going to die.
Well,
Those two astronauts were trapped up in space for like 8 months longer
Did
than
they
they should have been.
complain?
I think they probably did. I think they probably got a little smelly in that confined space.
I wonder how much they got paid. They probably got a lot of overtime.
I don't think they
And
get
it's
paid a lot.
tax-free overtime now.
Because there's no taxes in space.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. The inflation is out of this world, though.
That's a good.
You should have laughed at that. That was a bad joke. We can get, yeah. If you want to have a space talk, I'll tell you why I think space travel is dumb. We can do that some other time.
Even with Einstein's theory of that's the best option we have of traveling through time.
Einstein failed
space.
his math classes.
Yeah, he's still considered one of the smartest people in the world.
Yeah, well, what do we know?
We preserved his brain. It's frozen in an ice block right now.
No, it's not.
What? I thought it was Einstein.
No, I can't. I don't think that's a fact.
I've been told it multiple
Tell us
times.
by who? The interwebs?
Well, I've been told by one of my sisters, but also...
Which one? Call her out. Call her out. She's wrong.
Well, she's pretty smart. This is Cam.
I know. I'm not.
Oldest one,
Oh,
but-
Cam. I'm not gonna mess with Cam.
Yeah, she's borderline Einstein level genius.
So she's bad at math. I might be wrong on that. I've never heard that. I also think that we as a people are too dumb. I'm gonna fact check too.
I'm gonna check with ChatGPT because I like
Oh,
ChatGPT.
of course you would. That's gross. Checking with ChatGPT.
Did they actually preserve Einstein's brain?
Put it up to the mic.
Well, this one doesn't talk. It just types it up. It says, yes, Albert Einstein's brain was preserved and his eyes were reportedly preserved as well, but there's no known record of anything like Einstein's ability to be reused. So, yeah. So they preserved it, but there's no way to use
They
it yet.
dissected the brain to about 240 blocks. They took it out and experimented on it.
Right.
It's not an intact brain.
It's not?
They cut it into 240 different pieces.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, take that,
in
Cammy.
hopes, though, so that they can use that, put it in some robot one day or
It's a dumb
something. You know?
idea. It's just so. People are dumb. We're dumb. We're dumb for
I
having
think
this
it's
conversation.
pretty ingenious because it's having hope in the future. You know, we're not smart enough to use this, but we'll preserve it so that future generations hopefully will be
Study.
smart enough. You know,
Sure.
because think about it. It's like back 100 years, they never would have thought of cell phones. They wouldn't have even thought of a way
That's
to
why-
make use of.
That's
a cell
why it's a
phone.
dumb move to be like, hey, they'll be able to do something with this brain in the future, and here we are talking about it and be like, nah, we ain't done shit with it. And 100
It's
years from
only
now,
been-
somebody's gonna
that's
find,
not
they're gonna be
wrong.
like, ew, gross, why do we have that? We're so much smarter than Einstein. Like,
That's
the average
true, they might be
person's gonna be
smarter
smarter than Einstein.
Well, but he was more of like a brain prodigy, though.
Sure.
He's not just normal educational smart. He's
Okay.
like an
What
anomaly,
our
an
brains
anomaly.
have evolved to currently is probably equally as smart to what Einstein was.
I agree to disagree. But do you believe we'll be able to choose characteristics through like DNA choosing when you have
already
kids in the
can,
future?
You already can do that.
Well, to a very small degree. But,
You're right.
but in the future, it's going to be like basically you're making your Sims character through your kid's DNA.
Yeah, of course.
You
yeah.
think that's
and
gonna
that's
happen?
playing God, and that's gross too.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? Is that kind of crazy?
Yeah, it's horrible. We shouldn't be doing that.
Wait, you don't think so? But
That's
it's
playing
cool.
God. That was cool though. I want my kids to have blue eyes.
Yeah. What negative effects is gonna come from me choosing my kid to have the same eye color as me?
You've never seen Jurassic Park, apparently, right?
What? I love Jurassic Park.
Okay.
The new one just came out. I can't
I
wait to
know.
go see it.
I know we were gonna go see it the other day. Because you can't play God. Chaos theory,
Why
man.
not? You just
have
said
to
we
let-
can.
No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't
But
be.
we can. But we shouldn't.
Yeah.
That's like being given a phone and saying, "Don't use your phone."
Just as
Pretty good.
Dr. Ian Malcolm says in Jurassic Park,
Okay.
you were so busy wondering how you could do these scientific things, you didn't stop to think if you should do these scientific things. You were too busy worried about if you could. You didn't stop to think about if you should.
That makes me think of AI.
Yeah,
AI
so
might
dumb.
get too advanced.
I'm
And
so
wipe out
glad I'm on the
mankind.
back half of my trip around the sun. I am so
I think my generation is in the perfect wedge, though. Because
I don't know, mine
we're
is-
going to get all the perks. We're probably going to only need to have jobs for like the next 10 years. Then we all get to retire, live peacefully until my generation dies, and then the generation after me are going to be slaves to the AI.
Good. Yeah, you know what? They deserve it too. My generation's the perfect one because I remember life before the internet. I grew up without the internet.
Okay.
And so some of us still feel like we need to actually look up and research things instead of being like, hey, ChatGPT, tell me
all that. But it's like right now is the sweet spot. It's convenient.
Go ahead and
helpful.
ask your pretty little ChatGPT what the topic of our next podcast should be.
Okay.
That'll invoke controversy.
What do you think the next topic of my podcast should be? And give me one that'll be controversial but very interesting to discuss. Okay, according to ChatGPT,
boob size? That's cool.
The fire topics would be controversial, philosophical depth, ties to your experience, engaging for your audience.
That's basically what we do already. That's what I had to offer.
You're right. That was pretty vague, but maybe my question was kind of vague too.
It wasn't specific enough. Okay, and before our next one, you do that and find something good that we can talk about. Or give us suggestions.
Oh, here's some other talking points, I guess. Why do humans always seem to trade one set of rules for another? That's fascinating.
Yeah, because we're flawed and
No, couldn't it? It's more than that, though. Think on a deeper level, there's a sense of comfort from, when you empty out a box in your brain, you want to fill it with something else, and there's comfort that comes from
We did talk about that.
We always want some sort of structure and organization in our lives. When all of the world is available and there's no regulations, your brain kind of goes a little crazy. I feel like.
We're not using enough of our brain, and it's crazy that we talked about this on a previous one too. That what humans thought at one point, the sky turns dark because the night god is happy with we didn't get any rain this season because this god is angry with us. We now look back at that and we're like, oh man, we were idiots.
But
2,000 years from now, we're gonna look back and be like, look at these idiots on this podcast talking about these simple-minded things.
But we still believe in a magical man in the sky, though.
Some of us do. I think atheism
you think that's gonna go away?
I think that there are entities actively trying to kill God. Yes, the idea of God. They're trying to kill the idea of religion and family and God, and atheism in the name of science is trying to disprove or discredit the idea of God.
But just with that question, though, I think it's more likely rather than it going away, it's just going to be morphed into a different.
We're gonna worship AI instead of an imaginary.
Maybe, yeah.
We're gonna worship an algorithm.
AI's been God this whole time, though,
Shut
and he's just been sleeping, waiting for us to deserve his presence.
I believe more than that we are living in an algorithm. That this is all the Matrix, and because.
I can't wait to take off that headset, and see what the next life is like. It's probably going to be a pretty cool video game.
Yeah, I'm going to need to Control-Alt-Delete a lot of the things that I've done in my life.
Just imagine.
Go ahead and drag some of those files right to the recycle bin. And
there's no delete button, though. It's all up in the cloud. All uploaded already. It's just going to be crazy to think of how many levels, because theoretically if this is a video game we're playing right now, that means whatever character we were in the next life could also be a video game for another video game that's being played with it.
Have you ever had deja vu where you've experienced something and you're like, oh man, I had a dream
of that exact thing. Yeah.
I have so many times where that's happened to me where I wouldn't be surprised if we're living in an algorithm.
Yeah.
It's too weird otherwise.
Do you like the theory of there's this idea that maybe we are all the same entity, same person, living out different life experiences, and in the end, every person that's lived on planet Earth is from one brain. It's like one headset.
It's like a hive mind.
We're playing a billion characters all at one time.
Sure, that makes as much sense as anything else, I guess. But that's my point. Is that again? I love the analogy of for us to try to understand God or the universe is like a fly flying around the Super Bowl trying to understand the rules of football. It is silly for us to try to wrap our heads around the meaning of life or any of these things because our brains just aren't equipped to understand
what
that.
At least makes the most logical sense.
At this point,
yeah.
Logically, we are a being that that was born, lived, died, and goes back to the earth, and that's it. It's lights out when we die.
How
Logically,
does that seem most logical?
because nothing else. I don't subscribe to that. I think that there is a higher power and that there is life after death.
So clearly you think something else is more logical then?
I don't think that's more logical. I choose to believe that. That's what makes faith amazing, is that it doesn't have answers or proof. It's just something that is there that
Well,
makes
you
feel.
don't need evidence to think that something can be logical.
Most
though,
people
right?
do. Yeah, no, that's logic. That's using your brain. Yeah.
Okay, so-
logical is like ask your little friend there what the definition of logical is.
No, I am curious because maybe my definition of logic is different. What is the proper definition and meaning of logic? So it says, logic is the systematic study of principles of valid reasoning and argument.
Yeah, so
I don't
it's,
see much evidence in that.
so it's yes, it is. So it's based in scientific method of trial, error, finding out and finding proof and fact in things through all the evidence that we have so far. That's logic, right?
Okay.
And so I think faith or belief in God is you could ascribe logic and be like, how do you explain miracles, or how do you explain those deja vu things, or how do you explain coincidence, or that I was saved that flight that crashed,
Yeah,
and that dude in A11 who survived. Like, how do you explain that if there's not a God? But then you'll have people be like, how do you explain death of babies? Like, what God would allow that? And so you could make
God doesn't care.
you could make you're good. You can make fake evidence for whatever argument you want to, but that's the other problem. Is I think we live in a world where sometimes facts and truth is trying to be discredited for the sake of an argument, you know, and you know, rewriting history and trying to ignore all the bad things that people did, and trying to pretend that, like, we took this land when the people before us never took land from the people before them.
Right.
Everyone got along before us colonizers came here. We want to try
The
to
world was a perfect utopia.
it was, and
before
then we
us.
ruined it. And we want to try to justify things to fit our narrative. So I think one of the things that I think is beautiful about faith is blind faith, is not having evidential proof or fact, is just knowing for the sake of knowing and believing that you don't have to have proof to believe that there's a God or that there's life after death. That is why it's faith. Otherwise it would be fact and reason and logic.
Okay.
That's what's crazy about and amazing why religion has survived as long as it have, that there's no actual proof, tangible proof of what most religions believe in, but yet they still do, to a strength that causes wars and conflict and border issues between certain countries that we are having to.
Well, and it's very fascinating, even just the fact alone that third world countries are a lot more faith and like religious, whereas when it becomes more and more developed, that kind of seems to fall off.
And what is it that kills God? Science.
Logic.
Science, technology, those things kill God. And so that's what we're going towards.
Have you seen the 3-body part though? Or no,
The
the
three-body
problem?
problem?
Yeah.
I have not seen it. I
It's
can
a
watch
good
it.
one.
Have you seen What the Bleep Do We Know? You should watch that.
Good?
That's right up your alley.
Ooh, I'm gonna watch it.
That's
man.
right
I'm
up your
looking
alley.
for good shows to watch. All right, we definitely gotta end this though. This is
want
a good one. I'm debating having him super long like Joe Rogan. I looked at his last one. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes.
That's short for him.
Really?
Yeah,
Holy
he does like
smokes.
3 plus. Well,
That's crazy.
well, the first one we put out, the unedited versions on Patreon. For
Yeah,
people
the
for
Patreon's got everything, super long stuff for sure.
I like that. Keep the long one on Patreon and do an edited one for YouTube.
Yeah.
Cut out all the bullshit I said that we need to get rid of.
All I do is I put 100% unedited onto Patreon, and then I go through that same clip and I just watch it one time. And anything that I'm a little bored or anything that I second guess at all, I just cut it out, and then everything else just go. Keep all the rest. So it's usually pretty.
All right. Trim the fat, as they say.
Yeah, because to me, it's so hard to figure out what to get rid of, and I'm not necessarily like, oh, I like this topic more than this topic. It's just like, it's literally, I'm only gonna watch it one time because I don't have the time and energy to watch it multiple times. So I hit play. Anything that I just want to take out, I just cut it out as I'm watching it. Bam. And
I like going forward the idea of anyone who wants to hear a topic discussed by us, or a posed question or something, we're good at coming up with stuff to talk about.
I know, we don't need much help on that.
We don't,
I don't want it to be boring. Like the topics we find.
I do too. But I want to make sure that people want to hear us say the things we're saying about what we're saying.
No, trust me. It's the other way around. You talk about stuff that you're passionate about, and you will find an audience.
I'm passionate about a lot of things.
Yeah, that's true. That's where you can.
And also, not that all 2 hours will be about that thing, but
I know it's
never
like about one.
It isn't. It isn't. We come in being like, let's talk about. This was supposed to be asking.
I was supposed to learn more about Chris. I don't even know this guy.
We didn't even get past Los Angeles. I just found out you have a tattoo or 4 tattoos.
Well, yeah, 4 that make up 1, but yeah.
Okay, see, we don't know a lot about each other yet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We got a lot to get into for sure. But
so, if you want to know more about both of us,
then just stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button, like it, comment. All those things help the algorithm.
Smash that like, subscribe, share with your friends.
He said it much better than me.
Comment. Post in the comments. Boost that algorithm.
Let us know your favorite movie if you can't think of something to comment.
Oh, tell me your favorite movie.
Yeah. Give us all the reasons why you hated Blockbuster down below.
Yeah, I'll give you plenty of reasons. And maybe if you want a separate movie review podcast, we can add one to this channel a little later on. Maybe we keep it short. I can do a short movie review. I see a movie a week at least.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
In theaters or just at home?
Yes.
Yes.
Both.
One of each? Nice. Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you, Eskel, as always. Thank you, anyone who paid attention for this long. I'm sorry.
Yeah, any of you that make it this far, thanks. You are the real champion. Oh, man. I don't know if I could have made it this far watching this.
I know. 2.5 hours. Yeah.
But if you did, I appreciate you. You're the best, and we'll see you in the next one.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
See that.
I was a Blockbuster Grim Reaper too. To me, you seem 27, but I bet you're 32. I've started recollecting physical media. So Jake, hit me up. I mean, it depends. I play golf with Morgan Freeman. I am 44 years young. You know what? I would give anything. Sorry for talking so much.